What's up, everyone? Welcome to the live 5-star Joshi Show edition here, reviewing All-Star Grand Queendom. I'm very excited. Of course, I am your host, as always, Scott Edwards, and I'll have a lot of people on later. This is going to be much like the Stardom Dream Queendom review that I did just a few months ago. Of course, that was a big show. I went through the show, I reviewed the show, and then I had guests on call in to talk about the show, give their thoughts on matches and the show overall as we move into a new chapter for Stardom. So thank you everyone who's joining. If you are joining me now, joining me later, you can send questions in if you have any questions about the present or future. We're going to talk every single match up and down the card. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to share this with your friends if they want to get into Stardom, or if they're into Stardom, make sure to go retweet my tweet on Twitter and all that. So thank you again, everyone, for joining me. I'm very excited. This was the biggest show in Stardom history, live from Yokohama Arena. It was All-Star Grand Queendom. As big as it gets, as big as it gets. And I'm happy to see we already have some people in the chat. We got Brad, as always. Thank you for joining. We have Venji once again. Hello there. I'm happy to celebrate. Yes, the GOAT's massive win. Oh, we'll get to that. Colin, welcome to the show. Kyle, welcome to the show. And Harry, thank you for joining us. As well as Tim. Tam, yes, we'll get to Tam and the excitement that came from that main event for many. But I'm excited to do this. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I'm not going to hold you too long in terms of setting up the stakes. But of course, Yokohama Arena All-Star Grand Queendom, Sunday, April, I already messed up, April 23rd. Live on pay-per-view, English commentary, Chris Charlton, Sonny Gutierrez, and Mariah May. Of course, Momo Kogo getting injured. We'll get to that in a little bit. Absolutely packed out. So if you listen on whether it was English comms or Japanese comms, it was one hell of a show. I'm giving a big credit to those on English comms. I listened through that way. I thought they did such a fabulous job at really setting the stage for new fans. Of course, as Dave Meltzer reported today, 5 times the usual buy rate for Stardom pay-per-views. Again, massive accomplishment, and we'll give a lot of credit to that to Mercedes Moné as well. But if you're joining me now, I will be inviting people later on, so let's get to it. Let's talk about the show. Let's and share your thoughts in the comments along the way. Thank you. Yes, this is what I look like. Hello. As a new fan, Mina is one of my favorites. I love to hear that. It just feels so refreshing. I don't know how to explain it. Feels like a new era. Mariah did a fantastic job filling in with no time to get ready. She absolutely did. She absolutely did. Absolute professional filling in for Momo Kogo. And of course, we wish the best for Momo Kogo, who is recovering from injury. And we'll hope to see her back soon enough. But there's a lot to talk about. Like I said, Suzu Suzuki, of course, announcing that she's leaving Prominence today. We'll get to that later on as well. So much excitement. Let's get into it. Starting off at the tippity top, the Yokohama Rumble, the big match that Mai Sakurai ended up winning. I should have known. I should have known the ladyship Mai Sakurai was going to pull this one out. Once Waka Tsukiyama was the first entrant, I think it, I had a little hope she'd go one to the end, but that was not the case. Of course, there was some cool spots in this match. I thought Momo Nakanishi looked actually great, despite not being a wrestler anymore. She had a killer moonsault. I walked away saying, yeah, give me Azumi versus Momo Nakanishi tomorrow. I thought she was great. We had the incredible debut of Hanan's new gear, which of course you could see here. Hanan kind of having that whole ace vibe locked down now moving forward. I thought she really brought, and she didn't do too much in this match, but the moment she showed up, I think a lot of people said, there's the future ace. I think she's going to be great. And, Mai Sakurai eliminating the big machines, super strong Stardom machine, super strong Stardom, tall, giant machine, and super strong Stardom big machine. She got rid of them all. So that was kind of the key part there. Not too much, again, to talk about in the Yokohama Rumble. I'm sure some people loved it. I'll head back to the comments. Let's see. We had Nice moment for Walker, even if I want her to win. It was. The Monet and Peterson. The best thing I could say about the show is that Mayu Mercedes match was good, and I thought it was the sixth best match of the night. Just an amazingly strong show. I think that is like the nicest thing you can say about this show because that match was really good, and yet it wasn't even close to being the match of the night. And we'll get to that later on. Hanako should have won. Yeah, Hanako drew a tough number, Dylan. I'm sorry. Hanako's really solid, though. I will say that. Momo needs to hitch her kids to wrestling via Velke. I want to Walker to win this so bad. Momo Nakanishi can still go. Um, do you think Mai's going to abandon the Harlem Hangover? I doubt it. I mean, she's hit it pretty well. Um, every other time. Of course, this was one of those unique times. I think maybe she won't do it as much, but we'll see. Are there any stakes for winning the Rumbles? It always depends. We've seen, Mei Saruga use her win from last year, and that got her a high speed title match. We saw Unagi Sayaka win and then kind of just rise up the card rather than get a big title shot from it. I know she would go on to challenge Shuri for the SWA because she eliminated her from the Cinderella tournament, but that was mostly just starting her momentum. I think that's what it will be for Mai Sakurai. Venji, I really enjoyed this, although I struggled focusing after Komomo got hurt. Yeah, that was tough. Obviously, very sad. Momo was great. Um, Yes, yeah, he can still do moonsaults, does the baseball thing. I didn't recognize Hana at first. Yeah, she looked like an entirely different person when she first showed up. I was like, oh, that's Hana. Okay. But it's again a superstar look. New Hana gear hair reminds me of Arisa Ishiki. Oh, playing to my heart there. Um, Thank you, Luis, for joining the show. I see Mai challenging Tam, trying to avenge Giulia. That would be a ballsy challenge to have Mai Sakurai challenge for the world title, but I don't think you're crazy there. But again, thank you everyone for. We'll move on here. This is pre-show. We'll get really into the thick of things now soon. We had the wonderful tag that was Tekla teaming up with Club Venus's Mariah May, Xena, and Jessie against the Oedo Tai team of Saki Kashima, Ruaka, Natsuko Tora, and Momo Watanabe. This match, it's exactly what you expect it to be, right? With the Oedo Tai tag. Nothing to the point of like, oh, you need to go out of your way to see this. But I thought Tekla and Club Venus, the way they reacted with one another was really entertaining. Obviously, the entrance itself really jumped out, I think, for a lot of people. And I think when it came down to it, Mariah May and Tekla work so well off of each other. And there were points when I was watching them walk down. It's like it almost felt like Tekla could have led this group of she has like these folks that aren't like her at all, but at the same time, she's kind of like their leader, and it felt like that at some points through this match. Of course, the them not being on the same page with the box and Tekla be like, I don't know, and then hitting Jesse just for Saki Kashima to roll up Jesse to give Jesse her first loss and give away to tie the win. That ultimately was the story there, which I kind of expected going into this, but an overall fine tag for the pre-show, nothing to write home about necessarily. But let's get Tekla and Mariah May for the SWA undisputed title. That's what we want. That is what we are waiting for. But overall, a solid pre-show match nonetheless. The interactions were hilarious. Welcome, Duke Nukem. Yes, missing the Jumbo Princess. Absolutely. I look forward to hearing everyone's thoughts about that as well. Venji, Club Venus dancing to Tekla Steam was the highlight of the whole show. I'm only slightly joking. It was awesome. It made me laugh, and it felt like they really played up to the roles perfectly, right? Because they sold it on social media for weeks and weeks, and then they really enhanced it by doing that entrance, having them dance in the back, right? Tekla not even moving, just doing her pose, and then them, kissing her on the cheek and doing the final pose. It almost felt like they should be together moving forward, but of course, I'm happy that we are going the way that we are. But let's move forward here. Starting off with the high speed title match. This is where the main card kicked into gear. It's the perfect way to start off one of these shows. Because listen, if you're not going to do a high speed title match, and I know some people would have preferred there to be a title match, but listen, the theme of this show is title changes. You should probably be happy that didn't happen if you want Azumi to remain champion for the time being. But this is how you kick off a show, right? You put Azumi, Mei Saruga, Starlight Kid, and Mei Sarah, the returning Mei Sarah, out there to shine, and that's what they're going to do. Mei Sarah, for someone who missed a year and 8 months of action right after leaving Marvelous due to reasons we may never know, she walked back into that ring and stepped up against Azumi and acted as if she never missed a day. That was incredible. I thought they were like so in rhythm with one another. And Sonny Gutierrez made the point on commentary that Mei Sarah has actually been backstage with Stardom many times over the past 6 months. So this was obviously all building up. He also emphasized that she was hanging out a lot with Azumi. Of course, now after Mei Sarah got the win over Azumi in this match, she's on her way to a high-speed title match, something I predicted last week. But this match was great. I like to highlight what Mei Saruga often does in these matches because she is so unique, right? She does things that no one else can do, like the jumping off the post that she does. That's her like new signature spot. They played to it here. It's something that she learned from being in the Ichigaya Square and wrestling on Choco Pro. Like you don't learn that type of move unless you do something like she has done for so long in that venue, in that setting, right? And I think that plays to why she's so good and so unique. Um, her and Starlight Kid were really great. I want a singles match between like each of these wrestlers. I want Mei Saruga versus Mei Sarah. I want Mei Saruga versus Starlight Kid. Let's run back Azumi and Mei Saruga. Azumi and Starlight Kid, of course, that is a tale as old as time by now, but it never gets old. And then Mei Sarah and Azumi, we are well on our way. Of course, that has been announced for Fukuoka after Mei Sarah got the victory here. Very cool. I love just the pageantry of this entire show was unbelievable. It was perfection in a lot of ways. It was beautiful in a lot of ways, right? We can talk about how Azumi absolutely ate it on the entrance when she had the Mace Thrugo wings over here, which was very funny, obviously. But we can also talk about how great they were as a duo. A duo that I would love to see tag more and more in the future. Is very cool to see them do it on such a big stage. And again, kick the show into that high gear. There's Starlight Kid and Mei Sarah. I'm gonna keep trying to say Mayo Suzuki for the rest of the time. I've just accepted that. But Mei Sarah, again, stepping out there and absolutely showing why she is probably the future of this high speed division moving forward. Of course, just 20 years old. Now I'll get back to your comments. Kyle, Mei Sarah is an absolute beast. You couldn't be more right. Like I tried to, and all the shows and all the conversations, all the previews I did for the show, I tried to tell people like she is that good. She is that good. And she is someone that I think is only going to stand out more and more as time goes on. I think what was fun to see was where she kind of places, right? She has the we see her gear here, and you kind of try to pick where is she going to end up faction wise. She could end up anywhere, right? She started with Starlight Kid in a way to tie, but she's not a heel character. I don't think you should have her be a heel character, nor Starlight Kid really is either. But you get my point. Venji said my Sarah could still go. Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? She's 20 years old and she's just an absolute superstar, right? She is someone who everyone has been missing greatly for a reason. And the fact that she is not only back, but now in stardom is very exciting to me. It's very exciting to me to see what she could do somewhere down the line here as she continues to get back into wrestling overall. Monet Peterson. I'm gonna keep saying Monet like Mercedes Monet, so I hope that's okay. Banger opener, absolutely. She's 100% dethroning Azumi. Yeah, that was my call the moment she walked back into here. She felt like the obvious choice. I don't think there's really any other choice. Brad, Azumi, and May look great with their double teams. They did. Velke, I'm happy. Starlight Kid has brought back her best friend, May Sarah. The two May should definitely have teamed together. Yeah, they did have that moment, right, of seamless connection. Of course, as May, former tag team partners, they did give us that moment right in the match, and Chris Charlton talked about maybe they should have teamed up. And I thought that was kind of cool that they hinted at that. Any chance May Saruga goes to Stardom full time? I doubt it. I doubt it, only because she has her hands everywhere, right? Obviously, Got to Move is her home, but she's in AEW. She's doing US Indies now with the Best Bros tag team. I would love for her to do more Stardom. I don't need her to go full time because I think the uniqueness of Mei Saruga is you could see her in all these different places, but I don't think she goes full time. I think we have a lot of people going full time soon enough, which we'll get to later on. Dylan Saruga and Kid was low key a better matchup than expected. Absolutely. Seeing them connect was really entertaining. It's kind of why I walked away wanting the singles match because they were really good at doing like the silly aspects of what Mei Saruga does while also getting serious later on in the match. Azumi ate shit. It was awesome. It was. Azumi tripping was funny. All the entrances were so good, especially Giulia's. Of course, we'll get to that. May getting SLK to hold the balloon was very cute. Yeah, so I believe this was Sarah's birthday, if I'm not mistaken, which was fun. Marvelous could still use May Sarah, but I'm glad she's with Stardom. Yeah, listen, I don't think she'll be going back to Marvelous. I'll just say that. May Saruga's free spirit. She loves going everywhere, and yeah, that's part of the May Saruga charm, is it not? But a great match here to kick it off. It was really the first of what would be many great matches throughout the night. Next up, we had Fua-chan and Hazuki teaming up against Utami Hayashishita and Miyu Amasaki. As a resident Fua stan here. I've been the Fua stan since her first match, probably before that, truthfully. But she is as good a celebrity wrestler as we're gonna see, folks. She is Logan Paul, but likable. She is a babyface, right? She is the YouTuber turned comedian turned very famous person in Japan, and now she's out here in a pro wrestling ring absolutely showing out. Absolutely showing out. I thought she was fantastic once again in this match. Her and Utami Hayashishita had such great back and forth, right? That lariat that ended Fuachan pretty much ended up on her neck was nasty. The German suplex that she hit on Utami was one of the best moments of the entire night, let alone the match. It was one of the best moments of the night. Hazuki and Miyu Amasaki, they were here. Hazuki did a few things, Miyu Amasaki did a few things, but it was really about Fua versus Utami, which I thought was pretty funny. Hazuki was really good at kind of giving direction for Fua from the outside, if you noticed that. Something I noticed, of course. And I think, and after what this match is over, right, she loses via the German suplex with the bridge by Utami. I don't know how you walk away from this match not saying, I want Fua back, right? I want Fua back here. I want her to be on this show more and more. I want her to be wrestling more and more, but she is a very famous person. She is a true celebrity in Japan. I won't get my hopes up. Of course, after she talked about she's going to take some time away and, kind of decide what her wrestling future will be. Hazuki said, we'll be waiting, which was very nice. And I just thought it was a very magical time for Fua. Before we get to Micah and Hameka, I want to hear what the thoughts were for Fua. So Venji Utami murdered Fua. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, she did it. She acted as though Fua is part of the roster, and Fua felt like part of the roster. I think that was the best part about Fua is she feels like she is on this roster. We had Colin, doesn't May hold a high position like management, the Got to Move promotion? I'm sure she does. Yeah, I believe she does. She kind of runs it now with Emi Sakura based in the US. Dylan, her neck hurts. That is the truth. Her neck absolutely does hurt. You couldn't be that between the suplexes and the lariat, her neck hurts. When Peterson, Fua eating it was a really nice bump. I'll give her that. Yeah, it was kind of nasty. That lariat had me howling. Jeff Bugenhagen. Hazuki absolutely killed it in her time and knew when to let Fuwa-chan have her time to shine. She absolutely did. Love this match, but I'm gonna need Utami to move back up the card now via Venji. It's coming. It's coming. Don't you worry. It's after the main event, I kind of walked away saying, all right, Utami's going back up the card very, very soon. Fuwa-chan took everything from Utami. Very impressed with her. The best YouTuber turned pro wrestler. Yeah, you heard that, Logan Paul. Yeah, you heard that, Logan Paul. Colin Fuwa could kick Logan Paul's butt, no doubt about it. Fuwa's crossbody was sick, full commitment. She's a phenomenal prospect. Also, huge huge applause for the Kazuchika Okada video that they showed us. I thought that was awesome. And when his music hit, I was like, oh, right, that's cool. And the dedication again that she gave to doing this is why I really do appreciate what Fua has done. But next up, it's the match. It's the retirement match, Maker's retirement match. I know for a lot of people, this might have been your match of the night, and that's the greatness of this card, right? I think there were 5 or 6 matches that people could have walked away calling their match of the night, and I wouldn't question you one bit. And this was really the start of that. Hameka retiring, calling it an end. Jumbo Forever, of course, will be happening later this week in Pro Wrestling Wave, but this was the end for Hameka in Stardom, so it was a little bit extra emotional. She's doing it against her best friend in Stardom, someone in Micah who obviously a lot of people love, and for me, after watching this match, this Hoss fight of a match, my biggest takeaway wasn't even the emotional side that Hameka was leaving and Hameka was retiring, but it was instead the side of, well, it's Micah's time. That was my major takeaway. Like, watching the way this match was molded and created and done, as you can see here with her, crying as the match ended. They perfectly made this match what it was. Yes, it was about her making her retirement, the pageantry of the entrance and the beautiful dress that she had and everything about that. It was so special. But by the end of the match, for me, it was about Micah and the beauty of that finish, right? Her hitting 2 Michinoku driver number 2s, saying, "Please kick out. Please kick out. I don't want this 10." Hitting her with a shoot headbutt, which was nasty. I absolutely cringed in a good way, But shoot headbutts are terrifying. And hitting her with one more Michinoku driver number 2 to get the win. It was as emotional as it could get. It was a very special match. I'm sure for some people, it could not only could be their match of the night, it could be one of their favorite matches of the year. It depends how dedicated, how into Mike and Hameka you are. But this again felt like the moment for Micah where it said, "All right, Hameka's gone. Mahime can't, we can't lean on Mahime anymore. So now it's time for Micah to rise up the ranks and get to that title shot," which I think is very, very cool. Um, it was an emotional moment. It was an emotional moment, and I think I just want to applaud both of them for being able to put such a great match together that didn't necessarily feel like a retirement match, but rather just a great professional wrestling match with that retirement tweak on the end, if you know what I'm saying. And as I go on here, I'm going to start soon sending out links to some people that I will be have joining me later on. So if you're listening, just check out in your DMs. Don't join just yet, but make sure to have that ready for when I welcome you on. Because I'll have some people come up first, second, and third and share their thoughts. But we'll start sending those links as the show goes on here. Now let's hit the comments. I know a lot of people wanted to talk about this. Of course, Mina Shirakawa making that wonderful introduction. Of course, Mina. This was a Mina show, and I'll get to that in a good way. Fu will be the third X in that Never 6-man with Okada. That's a good one. Jeff Boonhagen, this match made me cry, starting with Mina doing the ring announcing. I have to watch it again. The cloud of depression wears off. It's rare for a wrestling match to make me cry. This was one of them. The finish absolutely broke me. Colin, this was awesome. It sucks to see Jamaica retire. Um, I'm going to miss Jumbo Princess. The outfit she came out was beautiful. It was like, again, when I bring up the right, we like the WWE comment of the pageantry and stuff like that. This was really like the embodiment of the special stardom entrance, right? I think everything about the Jamaica entrance, one last fire on the dance floor, was very special. Mia doing the ring announcing was a great touch to the match. Micah weeping completely broke me. It was definitely an excellent showcase for Micah. Jamaica put her over hard, as she should, right? You go out on your back if you retire in the right way. Finish had me crying in the club. That finish was so well done, super emotional. I figure they have the headbutts down to a science now as often as they use them, but still makes me flinch without a doubt. Everything about the match is beautiful. Thank you for everything, Jumbo. And closing up here with Jamaica crying before she kicked out, before Micah picked her up for the final sequence, broke me. So much emotion, but they kept it together enough to have a great match. That they did. Like I said, if you walked away with this being your match of the night, wouldn't shock me at all. It was a great showcase for both of them. And now, like I said, it's Micah's time. The red hair, by the way, the red hair on Micah is a great touch. And make sure to DM me, folks, if you would like to come on and make a comment or two later on in the show. I know some that I will definitely be having on for a little extended periods, but if you want to call in for a few minutes or just continue to comment, please do so. We have the Goddesses of Stardom title match, the stinker of the show. A disappointment, to say the least. A disappointment in that Mirai's crowning moment, right? Finally winning a championship comes via countout. This sucked. Like, the match itself was fine. It was whatever. I thought Mirai and I were really good against one another. But it never really got going to the point that a lot of 7-Up matches have, and ultimately the finish stunk. And that's when certain things come into wrestling that not necessarily everyone really loves, including myself, that we can't work around, and it was a way to get the titles off of them. You know, I was just on True Heel Heat reviewing the show before this, and they asked the least valuable player of the show. And it's funny because I think for a lot of the year so far, there was a good debate to say 7-Up and the 9U were like the most valuable players for a while there, just with a great tag title run. And by the end of this show, they were the least valuable players. They are the ones that lost via countout in a very lukewarm, kind of heart-wrenching way in terms of, man, you couldn't just have Mariah and Ami Saray over. And I can't help but think back to their tag league match, right? We know how that ended. If you watch tag league, it ended in a very decisive way in that they were fighting after the bell. They didn't seem to like each other, these two teams, especially Mariah and you. And I do think maybe that has some play in here. But this was easily the worst match of the main card. Just disappointing in the end because I do think giving the New Eras their moment would have been worth it, even if the match wasn't going to be an all-time or anything. They deserved that moment. We have this match was great until the finish from Jeff Bugenhagen. Venji, God, the finish was awkward. It's a shame because I really enjoyed the match up to this point. For me, it felt like it was starting to get going, right? And then it just ended with a count out and new champion. It's like meh, meh. I thought this was pretty good too. Just the finish was whack. This one hurt the soul. Hey, I see what you did there, Kiwi, and that's a good one. That's a good one. You know, the Mirai soul part of it. Colin, as I said earlier, the right team won, but the finish was horrible. Tim, Nanai put Waka over, but drew the line at Mirai. I wouldn't be shocked if the ultimate line being drawn was you, um, rather than Nanai necessarily. But of course, if that were the case, Nanai could have got pinned too. So, meh, meh. Um, it sucks. It sucks. Kyle sucks that it just ended. Was super hype after the high fly flow to the outside. Felt there was a good 10 minutes left. Finish ruined the match. Yeah, it again, like I said, it felt unfinished. It felt like we had places to go and we didn't go there, and that was really the letdown ultimately in the end. Uh, Felipe, I'll never get people assuming that I didn't want to put them over when she basically took the L for the biggest loser in Stardom. Oh, maybe just a bad booking decision. I think you being a champion in so many promotions does play into it. I do. Um, she is champion in what three other promotions. But I'm not going to speculate too much more. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. We move on. I said it then. Listen, I'm happy Mariah's champion. I move on now. I don't care. Like the rest of the show was going to be so great that it almost didn't matter to me. Um, this was the new look for Mariah and Ami Saray. I thought their gear was great in the matching sense. Um, there was definitely there was cohesion there between the two, but ultimately, it was a it was an upsetting end. But we do know their next challengers, which we'll get to later. Next up, the Artists of Stardom title match. Before we get there, Moné Peterson. I think Nia's been putting people over, been fine putting people over during her recent time. My only complaint with her is the screaming, but nothing's been said about that. Yeah, the screaming's just her never-ending thing that it takes a long time to get used to. I'll tell you that. Love the new gear and looks too. Ami, especially with the extensions. I thought that was a unique look I was not expecting. Now I should have put Ami over clean. That was ridiculous. No, she should have put Mariah over clean because Mariah's she's the one winning. The everything I would have. I don't blame. Okay, I'll just say that. She put Walk over, so I'm not going to act like she didn't put someone over big time in this run. But nonetheless, we move on. Artists of Stardom title match here. I thought this match was fantastic. Like, I'm probably higher on this match than the majority, and I think that's okay. I thought Prominence was great in bringing their chaos once again. I'm sad, it's kind of like sad to think about now because the Prominence as we know it is no longer a thing. This is probably the last time we see these three as a trio here in Stardom. Um, Now, is it the last time I think we see them three overall? No, no, not at all. But it's likely the last time, and they had a hell of a run as a trio through the Triangle Derby and as champions. It's definitely sad though. Suzu Suzuki and Saori Inu were really the highlights, I think, of this match at the end. They were absolutely tremendous. But before we get there, I thought Kyrie kind of working a singles match almost, kind of being in her own head and kind of working on her, working as herself, right? Before ultimately tagging, Saori in, and Saori just went to work. And like I said, her and Suzu were fantastic, right? The slaps back and forth, the Germans back and forth. It fired me up big time, right? You had the Tower of Doom spot with Natsupoi kind of sliding underneath and taking out Kurumi's legs to make it all happen. She was like, oh, that was my bad. That was my bad. I thought that was absolutely class. And in the finish, right, where Saori gets that unbelievable, like spider-like pin on Suzu Suzuki. Listen, I've seen her do that pin a lot of times. I don't think she's ever done it that perfect. Like this was the best time to nail that pin because I think a lot of people walked away being like, oh my god, that was the coolest thing ever. Saori knew, folks. She has she has transformed herself over the past year, in my opinion, from a good wrestler to a great wrestler. In that she always had the charisma, she always had the look, and she had the in-ring abilities, but now she stepped up to another level in the ring that I thought was phenomenal. I thought she really shined here. Her and with Suzu Suzuki, right, who got pinned in this match. Now we wait. Now we wait. What is next for Suzu Suzuki, right? Announces her leaving prominence, announces that she wants to go to the top of the pro wrestling world. So what does that mean? What does that mean? And to me, I thought when she left prominence, it told me she's signing somewhere. Yes, I know she said she still wanted to do death matches. She plans to do death matches. But you don't have to leave prominence if you're just going to go freelancing other places. That just never seemed like it would make much sense. So I think she's signing on the dotted line. I think, and I've said that for a better part of the year now, that she has a big, hefty contract sitting next to her at all times from Stardom and Rossi. And it was just a matter of when, not if. Um, she is going to be on the top of the pro wrestling world, and it was always going to be whenever she wanted to be, because that's how great she is at 20 years old. She was again the shining star in another match here. She was the brightest one. Yes, Saori Anou gets over big time and kind of reestablished herself to the Stardom audience, no doubt about it, right? She presents herself as a major star, but still, a lot of the people I've talked to, it's Suzu Suzuki, Suzu Suzuki, Suzu Suzuki. It's always about Suzu Suzuki. If she is signing with Stardom, there is a big time spot in DDM possibly waiting for her. You can play to that story with Giulia. Maybe that's part of Giulia's story as well. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. This is not one of those things I actually do know. Or do think, like, fully believe in. I just think based off her not being in the Catch the Wave tournament, something she won last year, and leaving prominence, that Stardom is the destination for her. And I hope it is. I hope it is. Because, she deserves it. But now with these three as your champions, right? You got Kairi, Saori Anou, and Natsupoi as your trios champions. Let them run. Let them run. I'm very excited to see where this goes. Now it'll be interesting, right? Because Saori Anou's not around for every show. And obviously Kairi isn't either. Saori Anou is going to be around a lot more than I think anyone expected, which is very cool. But we don't necessarily know how much she will. I think she's on some sort of tiered type contract where she can still do some freelance dates, but Stardom is kind of her new more official home, if that makes sense. But we'll wait and see how deep this contract is. But I'm very happy with these three being his champion. Let's get to the comments here. We had a lot, obviously. So I will make sure to get through them. Felipe, now this is a good match. I think they were going for a unique finish, but it just didn't come off. That was about the last match, of course. I love this match, especially Saori, Kairi, Cosmic Angels. I need it. Venji, I don't think you're going to get that, and we'll talk about that later. I'll talk about the post match of the world title match that kind of told me what is going to happen. Artist match was a contender for best of the show. It was amazing. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Jeff Bugenhagen, this match was great. I love the story it told. Kyle jumped out of my chair when Kurumi hit the black hole slam on Kairi. Adored this match. Yeah, that was awesome. I thought Kurumi was great again. I thought Kairi was really good, taking a lot of their offense and kind of selling it like the chaos that it is. Venji, I'm still shocked Suzu left prominence. Tim Hunter, love this one. Kairi and Saori look so good. Moné Peterson, everyone got their moment. Kairi did, I think, did 20 different moves, and Saori knew, holy shit. Yeah, Saori knew had to make a lot of new fans in this show, and that's kind of what I expected. Kai wish Kurumi was featured a bit more because she was the MVP of the Triangle Derby for me. Yeah, she was tremendous. I thought she was featured more than Risa Sarah actually was, but in the end, it was all about Suzu once again, and Suzu taking the pin was interesting to me. I thought as well. I've been a fan of Saori. I'm glad she's getting this chance to show her work on a bigger show. The Prominence Artist Run was a good example of how to build a great short reign. Absolutely, they quickly established themselves as one of the greatest trios in Stardom's history without having a long reign. Kevin Carpenter, over the summer, who do you think wrestles more matches, Kairi or Mercedes? Well, Mercedes has the inside track already, right? She already has a match scheduled, unlike Kairi. I think Mercedes actually wrestles more matches. Saori is even more impressive given she is still dealing with that arm, and her wrestling again, I believe, the same day. Yeah, she wrestled in the Cork and Hall show for Oz Academy as well. When Promise won the belt and when they lost the belt, are probably my two favorite Stardom Trios match of the past few years. I can't fight against that. I think the Trios belts, pretty much since Mahime Poi won them, have been on such an incredible run. Like, every match is must see, and I can name about 3 or 4 that really stand out to me, with both of those definitely being in the conversation. Suzu going to show up and make fun of Giulia for losing the belt is going to be hilarious. Yeah, so I think it's interesting, and, for Colin, this was my least favorite match of the show. I hate saying that. Oh, well, I definitely disagree, but it's okay. Rossi backed up the truck for Suzu. Yeah, yeah. Um, Suzu to DDM. I think it's gonna happen if she signs. I think that's where we're going. I actually think Suzu, actually just a bit. I don't know what you're trying to say. It warms my heart to see Poi as a champion. This match was fantastic. Thank you, Prominence. Brad, do you read too much into Kyrie not wanting to get in the ring with everyone at the end when Tam won? No, I do not. No, I do not. I think I'm going to touch on that later on. Anytime Poi gets a title, I'm a happy person. The Prominence defense against Queen's Quest was incredible. It was. And Kyrie has a regular Stardom championship now. I think she's going to wrestle semi-regularly. We'll see. We'll see, at least for pay-per-views, right? Flashing Champions will probably be Kyrie's next match, if I had to guess, which is in June, I think, or in the end of May. I don't really know when it is. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know the schedule off the top of my head. But let's move forward. Great match here. Next up, the match for a lot of people. Saya Kamatani versus Mina Shirakawa, Wonder of Stardom title on the line. This is the only match I've rewatched from the show, and for good reason. So I don't remember. I can't remember for the life of me what I was doing while this was on. Can't do it. Have no idea. But I was doing something. It might have been something for Fightful or writing part of my review. But I missed like the first 5 minutes, so I had to go back and rewatch it. But it almost doesn't matter how much time I missed, because Mina Shirakawa had the match of her life in this match. This was all about her moment. This was all about what she's done, right, to get to this point. It was all about, where is she going to go? Where can she go as a wrestler? This is what I tweeted when she won. I tweeted, if I ever find it, Mia Shirakawa proved to be inevitable. They created drama to the point of Shirakawa surviving the Phoenix Splash, a move that Kamatani hasn't used since smashing Shirakawa's face in their last title match. A record reign comes to an end as we see what Mina can do as champ. Some people may not like the over dramatics. I loved it, because here's what you have to think about when Saya Kamatani was on the turnbuckle, right? She's not only thinking about the injury and what she did to Mina, but right, her leg has been worked on at this point, almost exclusively. And that's going to create in her head, not only may I injure someone again, do I have enough in my leg to make this move happen? Do I have enough for me to hit the Phoenix Splash and believe again? She gets down, right? And we keep going, right? That phenomenal dragon screw that Mina hit out of the electric chair position, that was amazing. And ultimately, Saya does hit it. Saya does hit the move. She hits the Phoenix Splash on Mina Shirakawa, and Mina Shirakawa kicks out at 2. Right? And they played that up perfectly, because we remember Mina kind of kicking out when she got hurt, right? She kicked out of the Phoenix Splash when she got hurt, but the match was called off. That is the vision that we have gone with. She was able to survive the Phoenix Splash. And Sai wasn't able to win with it. She was going to go for the Firebird, but Mina again fought back, and she attacked the leg again and again and again. She locks in the figure 4 to perfection. She locks in that figure 4. She and at that point, that's where the drama really was at its height for me, because I did think Saya could tap out to the figure 4. It's a move that Mina has established. It's a move that Mina has focused on. And Saya, surviving and having that moment honestly gave me the belief that maybe, just maybe, Mina Shirakawa might not win. But Mina Shirakawa at this point had to win. Listen, I'm someone who has been very tough on Mina Shirakawa. For the past 2-3 years, however how long I've been doing this, I have said my many, many words about Mina Shirakawa. There was a time last year, pretty much a year ago, where I didn't think Mina Shirakawa was to the level that I thought she was but when she was in that 5-star Grand Prix. That 5-star Grand Prix in 2021, she really showed her improvement. Then she had that match with Tam as the Bloody Angel that I hated. Did not like that at all. She got hurt. She wasn't much of the same. 2022 comes around. She does the Bloody Angel thing again in the Mariah Cinderella match. That stunk. And I'm just like, all right, that's enough. But Mina kept going. She kept working. She kept working her ass off to get better, to get to a point like the Wonder of Stardom Championship that I don't know if anyone ever expected her to get to when she signed with this company, right? I think a lot of us, kind of kicked her to the back and expected Nagi Sayaka to get to this point as well. But it was Mina who stepped up. She put in the work. She had an incredible 5-star Grand Prix, a 5-star Grand Prix of great improvement. She had those 2 killer matches with Saya Kamatani, including the one that resulted in that unbelievable promo. She comes back more aggressive. She wasn't full heel, but she was more aggressive. Brings Club Venus with her, setting herself apart to make herself her own person now. And yes, a lot of people didn't love the build because we went from this uber baby face to this kind of little more aggressive heelish character with Club Venus, who left Tam right 1 week ago. But it almost didn't matter. It almost didn't matter because what I saw by the end of this match is that the crowd was all in on Mina Shirakawa winning. Maybe the biggest pop of the night was Mina Shirakawa winning. As you see in this picture, this meant a lot to her. This is the title she wanted. I don't think the reign's going to be very long, nor do I think it should be. But I do think that the moment was worth it. And her being the one to beat Saya Kamatani made the most sense by this point. And she convinced me of that. That's something I'm willing to admit. Let's get to the comments here. Mina finished the story. You are absolutely right. Benji, I've never been more happy to get a prediction wrong. My 3rd favorite match of the night. Mina absolutely deserved this. It ended up being actually my 2nd favorite by the time I watched the whole thing. Colin, yep, my match of the night right here. This is great. Mike Peterson, I absolutely agree with you. I'm a bit of a Mina skeptic as well, but I thought this match was phenomenal. Maybe the best crowd reaction, except the finale. Jeff Boudhay, this match was the match. Absolutely a banger. Saya is amazing, but Mina is on a different level since adding that figure 4 leg lock. The ring psychology in this match was phenomenal. Both of these ladies told an incredible story. Eric, my match of the night. The crowd was on hot for this one, and the pop Mina got when she put it over the top for me. Venji, I haven't seen people talk about it, but my highlight was all of the legwork, especially when you remember Mina started working it back at the Cork and Hall show, only made the figure 4 stuff better. You're absolutely right. Mina kicked out of 2.999999. Yeah, there was some close calls there. Incredible drama that they created. Probably the only person who loved that Tam versus Mina Dark. Yeah, the Dark Mina match. Yes, you are. I was not a fan. Kyle, I adored this match. Incredible storytelling, emotional stuff. Crowd made it even better. No complaints. If Mina's able to capture the storytelling moving forward, then we're really going to rock. We're really going to own it. And I think that's very important moving forward. But nonetheless, and Kyle, Mariah's reaction to winning was so wholesome. It was. It absolutely was. We move forward here. We continue to move forward. Shuri, Chihiro Hashimoto, the fight. I titled this match The Fight. Knockout, submission, referee, stoppage. What a war. What a war. This match, I don't even have too much to say about this match, and that's probably a good thing. They went out there and they did exactly what you hoped they would do. They kicked each other's asses. They beat the hell out of each other. We had those nasty headbutts, including the one where Shuri hit the back of Big Hash's head. Of course, she ends it with the buzzsaw kick, where Chihiro is pretty much knocked out and she's rumbling and stumbling. She's trying to get up. She's trying to get up, but she just couldn't. She didn't have enough in her to do so. And I thought that was really great. The way that they drew this match up. If this was your match tonight, I wouldn't be shocked either. If you're more of a Puro style fan, Kings Road fan, I can't imagine this not being your match tonight, truthfully. This was great. This was absolutely great. Shuri as the final boss will never not be a bad thing. She is everything and more to this promotion. I'm happy she had a major match, and I loved it. Mina vs. Poi has potentially to really cook emotionally. Absolutely, Venji. I can't wait for that one. We'll get to that a little bit. I want Micah to take the title off Mina. Obviously I want Mirai to win her title now that she's won the Cinderella, but I think Mirai, Micah, Micah, Starlight Kid. There's a few names. There's a few more names that are obviously possible for the Wonder. Let's just make it make sense. I think Mirai and Micah may make the most sense right now, but we'll have to wait and see. This was Dan Moore. Just violence. Sure, you challenge for the IWGP belt. I think I need it. Dominion. I'm telling you, Dominion. I've been sold on that. I think it's going to happen. Love this match as well. Chihiro does the Bruce stuff so great, delivering and taking it. And Jeff Bugenhagen. This was the match that needed to follow. That emotional match. Just a Haas beatdown. Absolutely. Tam 2 belts, obviously. Yeah, it'd be interesting if that's we had the first 2 belt champion since Mayu Iwatani. But I don't want that, but you never know. Anyways, let's move on here. The dream match. Mercedes Moné versus Mayu Iwatani. The only complaint I have about this match, it needed more time. It needed more time. 12 minutes. 12 minutes isn't enough. I wanted this to go another 12 minutes. I want this to keep going and going and going. Obviously, this is the dream match for me. You heard it at nauseum from me on this show and on my Twitter for the past weeks, months, whatever it may be. And I'm sorry, but no, it was the match for me. The entrances and the feeling I got seeing these two head to head. It was surreal. It was just absolutely surreal. Like, never did I imagine this was possible. Never did I think Mercedes Moné was going to take a chance outside of WWE, because you don't see anyone do this. And when they take chances outside of WWE, they just go to AEW. They never go to the promotion you really want them to desperately go to. It's very rare that they do. And this is going to change the times. Mercedes Moné going to Stardom is what changed everything. This will be the match that we look at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. And no matter how you feel about the match itself, it'll be remembered historically for good reason. It's the match that helped change a lot. It's the match that brought more eyes to Stardom, right? Mercedes Moné's involvement alone. But it's the match that changed the game. It is the Bayley and Sasha Banks match, right? That takeover match that is looked back so fondly upon. Maybe it wasn't to the level of that match. This was great, by the way. These two kicked the hell out of each other. But in terms of historical value, it can be that match. And it feels like it will be that match. It will be the match that really helps propel Stardom to another level. I kept saying this show is going to be the reset. It's going to be the new start for that next chapter, right? All-Star Dream Cinderella was the last time. Now this is the new time. I think this was absolutely phenomenal in terms of the circumstance and the importance of the match, and seeing Mayu get her moment will never ever make me upset. The fact that she won, it was like I felt like I just saw my team win the Super Bowl. I saw my team win the World Series, the Stanley Cup, the World Cup, whatever it may be. It was that ultimate moment of like, yes. Not only did Mayu Iwatani have to wait to win this title, but she did for good reason. She ended up beating Mercedes Moné. Doesn't get much bigger than that. The the boulder, as I like to call it, the knot, of course, on her head that Mercedes had by the end of this. Mercedes must have said, "Yeah, hit me as hard as you possibly can. Let's go in there and let's absolutely put on a show." And that's what they did. Yeah, it was only 12 minutes. Do I wish it was another 5, 10? Yeah, I do, because here's the thing. This once in a lifetime feeling type match, it's gonna happen again. That's where I'm at now. This is going to be run back. We're not done with this match. We're not done with these two. This was only the beginning, and that is surreal for me to think. The dream match is going to become the dream matches, the dream series, it feels like. We're going to go back to this, and that's really exciting because I think that's when we get the full-on match, and that will be a main event match. I think that's kind of where I'm thinking. Unless it happens in, like, Dominion or something, it will be a main event. I don't think we can hold off to a historic crossover or something of the sorts, but whatever it happens on, whether it be a US show or not, I need to see it get the full time because these two were on to something special. And if they get that much time, they will deliver that extremely something special. It was special in terms of history, in terms of the winner, in terms of the moments. But there's another level to this that I really do think we can go to, and I do hope we go to. I'm confident we go to because, of course, Mercedes Moné ain't going anywhere, folks, and I've been very, very confident in that as well. Um, I, I said it. Once she gets the buck, she's going to get the wrestling bug back. She's going to love Japan, and she absolutely does. She's going to be back. She's going to be on that resurgence show in Long Beach for New Japan. That's only the start. And then she said she's coming back for the IWGP Women's Championship. I think Mercedes Moné will be a multi-time IWGP Women's Champion. I think she'll have an even healthier reign somewhere down the road. But when she first signed that deal with New Japan, with Stardom, this was the agreement. I think it was, you're going to come in, win the title from Kyrie, you're going to have a defense, you're going to drop it to Mayu. Now they can really create a reign for Mayu. Hopefully that's healthy, and a couple title defenses, not the you win, defend it once, then lose. No, we want win, couple defenses, really have Mayu establish that title, and then she can drop it to Mercedes or whoever. But yes, this is the match that leads to my retirement, of course. Very emotional for me. I had like happy tears going down my face because I was just it was surreal to me. And then when the match ended and Mayu won, it was the ultimate, like, wow, this was perfect for me. Even if the match didn't get to even the match of the night, let alone the match of the year levels that I know they can go to, I was still happy as could be. Let's see what we have here for comments. Kevin, do you think Mayu gets a longer reign given she was the plan for his champion? I do think she gets a longer reign. Anything's more than 3 defenses is a longer reign. Or more than 3 matches total in the reign is a longer reign. That being said, I think it's going to be special. I think it's going to be a very good reign for her. She's going to probably defend it, I think, maybe 2 times in New Japan proper, 1 time in the US, and then maybe a Stardom show at least. Venji, say what you will about it being too short, but I haven't popped so loudly for a win in so long. Mayu means a lot to me personally, so her winning made me so damn happy. You and me both. You and me both. It was emotional. It was absolutely emotional. It for all the devastation I felt at historic crossover when she lost, it all came around when she won. So even though I thought she should have had that moment, it was really cool. It was too short, didn't have time to fully click. I thought so they didn't do the part, like the 5 minutes of like feeling each other out at the beginning. I thought that was the interesting part for me. Jeff, this match delivered. Mercedes coming out of the tiger mask. It was just epic. Yeah, of course, giving credit to Eddie Guerrero. I thought that was very cool. Brad, Mercedes versus Mayu was really, really good. I kind of wish she kept healing it up post match instead of giving Mayu a hug. I know most took over, so I can't blame him. Just personal preference. Yeah, she did. She went back to the heel persona right when she got into the press conference part of the show, but I did think it was kind of funny, and I knew she was gonna give into the emotion. She's been so like all about me, but this means so much to her, so I'm okay with it. But I get it. Over 5 times the international buys for this pay-per-view than any other Stardom pay-per-view. Yep, that's the draw. That is the draw. Match was great. They left some meat on the bone, but I'm glad Mayu's champion again. She's the reason I started watching Stardom, as she should be. Kevin Carpenter, do you think Bustro can sign Mercedes to a full-time deal? Can all they do is a per date deal? Yeah, I think so. I think Mercedes is I think her extension, whatever it is going to be more of a not, it's going to be a more official deal than a per date deal. That's just my assumption. I don't know if it's a full-time thing. I don't know what I don't because I don't think Mercedes full-time is like a Stardom wrestler and a New Japan wrestler's full time, but I think it'll be more full time, more locked in, rather than maybe it's a match deal plus appearances rather than per appearance. I think. Um, Agreed, it's very significant. I do hope that they get it running back in the proper length it deserves. I think they will. If they played to it after, right, when my Mercedes said, "I'm going to Resurgence and I'm coming back for the IWGP Women's title." I would actually be shocked at this point if we didn't get the rematch. Hazuki popping for Mayu, kicking Mercedes in the face was a top moment in the show. Yeah, that was awesome. Felipe, the rematch should be at the Dome. I'd say yes, but I want the match to be longer than 6 minutes. So, no. It should be at the Dome, but I don't think they'll get the proper time. I think that's why. Forbidden Door 2, Mayu versus Moné 2. No, I highly doubt that would be where they do it. I think one of these two will be on that show, perhaps, but I don't think they'll do the rematch there. I think, if anything, Bushiroad will want that on their only show. And they don't, and Forbidden Door 2 doesn't need the draw that this match is as much, right? I don't think they need that. I do need a lengthy reign for Mayu. She needs it. Well, thankfully, thankfully, lengthy for this title will be 2 successful defenses, like Dylan said. Um, I think at least 3 successful defenses and a good chunk of days because she won't be defending it all the time. I think that'll be good. A very prestigious title name wise. What are some other names to add? I definitely want Io at some point. Listen, I think Io will inevitably, I think she would have been in this conversation had she not went back. So I'll take that for what you will. Who do you think Mercedes faces at Resurgence? I think a non-Stardom wrestler. Wink. That maybe. The pay-per-view was lit. Venji. I think Mayu is more likely for Forbidden Door, Mercedes, and however getting Mayu on the show could even bring more eyes to Stardom. Yeah, I think the IWGP champion or Kyrie has been kind of where I've settled. And now that Mayu's champion, she definitely feels more of a lock. For some reason, there's something so interesting to me that Mercedes just doesn't show up at AEW. Maybe that's me being an asshole. But it wows me that it continues. I can see Mercedes facing Mickey or Deanna for the New Japan show. That wouldn't surprise me either by any means. At least she wanted both of those match. Anyways, let's kick it now to the main event. It was Giulia versus Tam Nakano, and those who want to, of course, chime in, call into the show. I'll be sending some links around. I already sent one. So you can start to join the show now if I've already sent it to you. Otherwise, I'll be sending it to a few other people along the way to share their thoughts after this. But let's talk about it. Giulia versus Tam Nakano. One more time, but not the final time. That's what I learned very quickly. World of Stardom Championship. They got a best of 7. We can't just end it at tied. Giulia, of course, defending her world title for the 3rd time since winning it at Stardom Dream Queendom. Would it be Tam or would it be Giulia walking out? Could Tam win? Right? Could Tam be the one to become the 5th person ever to hold both the Wonder and World, joining Giulia and Threedom? Could she follow the Tam road? Could that Twilight dream happen? Could we get there? That was really the question at hand. And ultimately, as we know now, The answer is yes. This match was my match of the night. I thought it was fantastic. It was everything I wanted these two to bring to me, except for blood. I wanted the color, I wanted the crimson mask, I wanted it. I desperately wanted it, but it didn't take away from what I thought was a fantastic match. I think ultimately in the end with Giulia winning and or not winning, but Giulia falling to Tam was an interesting story arc. And I said this because a lot of people were like, does this mean something for Giulia? Could she, why is she already not champion? I think the story is more for Tam right now. Listen, this was Tam's last shot. I said it when I previewed this show. It's now or never for Tam Nakano. She was never going to become World of Stardom champion if she didn't win here. I just don't think there was enough time for her to come back around to another title shot. That has been my belief. You could say I'm wrong. That's fine. But that's where I was. So it was either now or never. And they built the story to be, wow, this could really be 50-50. And it proved to be that way. I thought the violence that they put each other through was excellent. I thought the moments of really fear that I felt for both of them as the match went on. We watched Tam Nakano's face once again pretty much blow up from those slaps, from those closed hand punches. They traded headbutts, right? They traded all the big moves. And Tam hitting the Northern Lights bomb. And I love the Northern Lights bomb, by the way, earlier in the match, like right at the start when Giulia hit that, because they were grappling, and we were like, I don't know. And then it really kicked into gear like after that. It was like, all right, this is all out war time. There's no grappling, there's no feeling each other out anymore. We're gonna kill each other. That table spot was nasty. The snapmare onto the table, her neck pretty much hit the edge of it. That was terrifying. But the finish with the Northern Lights bomb, the Twilight Dream and Giulia kicking out, right? That doesn't happen. That's what Tam won with last time, and then hitting that violet screwdriver to get the victory. It was magical, much like the Tam Road often is. It is always a journey, it is always a moment. And some people are gonna like Tam as champion. Some people are gonna love Tam. I think it was James Boyd that tweeted this great video with the Don Callis thing of when Kenny beat Okada, it was like hook the leg, hook the leg, hook the leg. And I watched that video. I was like, oh my god, this is great. Chris Charlton was awesome on the call for this match. I thought he really embodied that feeling, that excitement, kind of the excitement I think you need, especially if you were a first time viewer, right? For Mercedes Moné, and you needed to know why this main event meant so much. I thought they really set it up perfectly on the English comms to really give you an understanding. And now Tam Nakano is your World of Stardom champion. It's pretty surreal. Um, this was my match of the night for some people. Some people might not even like. Some people just don't like Tam Nakano. I know that. I know Velke, who I'm about to have jump in here, doesn't necessarily love Tam Nakano, so it'll be interesting to hear what he thought. But here was your final image, and the most important part of this for me was Kyrie not really feeling it. She was like, I guess I'll go in there. But she had daggers on that World of Stardom Championship, and it does feel like Tam Nakano versus Kyrie in a redemption match after the Wrestle Kingdom match was such a letdown. That'll be a great story to tell, right? Kyrie beat Tam in like 6 minutes, and now they're going to be able to truly tell their story and really tell what kind of great match they can have somewhere down the line with the top prize in Stardom on the line. I can't wait to that. But what a final image. Let me get through the comments here, and then we're going to start bringing people on because I'm really excited to have everyone on here. Venji, match of the night for me. I definitely feel the title change was a much needed change for pace of the red belt. Tam was the perfect choice to do it, in my opinion. Brad, the way I jumped off my couch before 7:30 a.m., trying not to wake everyone else up when Tam won. I love this so damn much. This is my match of the night. I love Tam so much. Yeah, like I said, either you were devastated that Giulia lost or you love the Tam won. I know, and it was a really interesting and good story to tell because, like the last chapter, we ended with Tam winning that big main event. Tam never doubted for a second. Uh, much preferred the Mayukihi match, but this is still really good. Love the finish. That was very personal as well. I think the Mayukihi match was one of those where people were very split on it, but I thought it was a great match as well, and this was excellent. Tam's story is top notch. She ended Giulia's white belt run. Now this run, both looked amazing, put on a show. Now they're tied at 3-3. Worth noting as well. Like you said, the entrances were phenomenal. They look like main eventers. That says a lot for how many amazing wrestlers were on the show. The pageantry. I keep bringing it up, but this felt like the main event when they made their entrances. And I think that was important. Not for lack of trying, I just think they're not allowed to blade, but I don't know about the blading. I wanted the blood. I didn't get the blood, but I lived on. It's okay. Finish was perfect too. It was the reverse finish from their hair match, which was just great. Yeah, I like the violet screwdriver. I love that being her finisher because it's just a devastating move. We have so much to talk about this match a few, but we should really acknowledge how both Giulia and Tam care about their craft and presentation with those Queendom inspired entrance gears. Yeah, it was a really magical look for both of them. I absolutely loved their presence, like I said, and I think they really killed it here. And it felt special. It felt special, right? The look we're talking about here, of course, this one, they both felt it was, the queen and the princess in a lot of ways type feel. Dawn's best call right there. Yes, it was. Thank you, Eric. Love you too. And then happy for Tam. She finished her story. A small part of me is hoping Giulia would retain, so we get a Tommy match and her versus Suzuki again. We'll get both of them. Don't you worry. Giulia's going to be champion again. It's just not right now. Love the interest. Tam as the angel and Giulia with the red essence. You give the devil feel. Ooh, that's a good show. The entire show had a huge show of the year vibe to it. Felt like a Wrestle Kingdom. I think it was unbelievably special. But now is when I'm going to bring people on to talk about kind of how their thoughts on the show overall. I'm going to kick it to this little fancy looking thing here. And kind of get a feel to how everyone felt. So let's kick it to Velke, who joins the show. Velke, welcome.
Hi, do you hear me? Am I fine?
You're good to go. I can hear
All
you.
right. When Scott talked about the people who do not like them, I am the people. I do not like Tam Nakano. I never liked Tam Nakano, and I will never like Tam Nakano. Uh, I am one of her original haters from the time she joined Oedotai, and I have been watching this woman for 5 years, and I have been praying for her retirement every single year. Hello, people.
All right. Well, I will ask you for your thoughts about the overall show. I know your feelings on Tam very well. And I think a lot of people that know you do as well. But I will ask you your overall thoughts on the biggest Stardom show of all time.
The show as a whole, right now, it is. I think I am willing to call it show of the year. The only other candidate for that is Sakura Genesis, because that also had very similar vibe as this show. But I'd have to go to, as much as I hate saying that, match quality. And this show had better guard top to bottom than Sakura Genesis.
You're absolutely right. I totally agree. I think Secure Genesis was the other one, right? Both shows had those final 5 matches that really stood out, but it was about the full card for me as well that had them jump out. What was your favorite match of the night?
Shuri versus Hashimoto. It was glorious violence. It was much better than I expected. It's the only match on the show that was better than I expected it to be, because I've seen their previous matches.
Yeah.
So I was expecting something similar, but this was. I think Hashimoto has a big issue when working smaller crowds, because she is a wrestler that deserves to be in front of thousands of people, not just hundreds or even dozens. When you go to some of the smaller shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And she really does fit into the bigger vibe, right? With the entrance and the way she has really designed herself as a pro wrestler. And I've talked to multiple people. That match has been the match of the night for more people than anyone that I've counted. And that is it's between that and the Mina Saya match, I think, that really have been favored as match of the night. How did you like the Hameka retirement match?
I loved it. Mina Shirakawa being there as the announcer for her, in air quotes, last match, as she was there for her first match ever, was really nice touch, really nice, and the match was great. I think I started laughing when Micah shouted, "I love you," should have butted her, and then pinned her. It was funny because like that's as much dumb wrestling as it gets, and because Himeka is one of the wrestlers that I've been able to follow from the moment I started watching wrestling since to their end, and I am actually not sad. I am happy that I was able to see her entire career unfold from the humble beginnings in Shikiba First Ring to,
of course,
performing in front of 5,000 people in Yokohama Arena, which is like, she went to Budokan, she wrestled in Budokan. She was an idol. All idols in Japan dream of going to Budokan and standing there on that stage and having their singing and dancing there, performing there. She wrestled there. Same as Tam Nakano. I was expecting Tam Nakano to retire after that. So, bummer.
Yeah. I think you have a good perspective though of the Hameka run, and you obviously you have a great compilation of her matches that you've shared a bit for people that may want to check out more than just her Stardom matches. Do you think, now I know she has the Wave show, but do you think this was like the right end for her Stardom career with it being Micah? And how did you like the match with ALK as well?
I have not yet got it because I did not have time. I had a
You
lot
should
of.
definitely watch it. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
I will. I'm 3 shows behind on Stardom.
Okay.
So like I need to
There's
catch
a
up.
lot. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll say that it was definitely worth it. Along the rest of the show, I guess my main question for everyone as we, yes, you shared your thoughts about Tam Nakano, of course, but as a total transformation of the landscape, how do you feel about the next steps now? Now that we know what Fukuoka looks like, and kind of now that we have all new champions, do you like where this is going? Do you have an idea of who you like to see maybe take the titles off the top 2 belts as well?
So even though that I hate Tam Nakano with every fiber of my being, I don't have an issue with her as a champion. I really don't, because it will just make all the matches much sweeter because I will be waiting for someone to dethrone her to take the title away from her.
Very true.
I am someone who is more than willing to suspend my disbelief and to buy into matches and to cheer against people and then enjoy either being right and celebrate the defeat of the hatred of the hated foe, or getting laughed at by other people who know that I am such a homer for the other camp. So I like this. So I am more than fine with Giulia losing the title, and I actually like it because I think it opens a lot more options for the whole for Stardom as a whole. Because uncoupling I would have let's go back to the December show. Giulia beating Shuri was the right move. I think that Saka Mitani should not have been the champion going to the December show. So we could have both titles. We could have one title change hands and the other stayed on the person.
Sure.
Which happened. But right now we are in the situation where both titles changed hands on the same show. It was on the biggest show of the year, but all titles changed hands. So the expectation of anyone watching Stardom right now is that titles change hands only on the biggest shows, because it has been for it happened. It's been happening for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Titles changed hands. The two big titles changed hands only in Sumo Hall or Budokan and Yokohama Arena, nowhere else. Why? If I am a 9-year-old fan who wants to see her, let's use a little girl, her favorite win, why should I go to a show in Fukuoka when I know that Natsupoi will not win because it's not a big show? Like maybe 9 years old is too young, but you get my idea.
I understood where you're coming from.
Yeah. So I don't like that both titles changed hands on the same show, but I like all sets of our champions right now. I think the tag titles change on the countdown is a disgrace, and it should not have ever happened. I would like to be at the table when that was pitched, and when when the pinfall or submission was refused, because I would like to hear the discussion. I would have enjoyed that. On one hand, go you. On the other hand, that was a really fuck up. That was a really fuck you to Mirai, because she has been on the. She is one of the few people who have been fucked up by the booking. Actually, it's people usually talk about booking malpractice or something like that. This her run last 6 months or so is so bad. Mirai specifically. So like I don't know what to do, what to think about that. But otherwise, the landscape for Stardom right now is great, and I do not want to plan ahead to see ahead who will take the belts or something like that. The only thing I want is Giulia to beat Tam Nakano at some show and retire her. That's all. That's everything I want. That's everything I want. That's like I just want this one thing. Please, can I have it?
I think that's the perfect way to really put your feelings into one. Is ultimately you just want Giulia to end Tam Nakano. I think that's that's very fitting. I know a lot of people maybe disagree, but truthfully, I thought that might have been this match, so didn't happen.
But. Yeah, the build to it. At one moment, I thought after the first round of Cinderella, I thought that Tam Nakano is going to win the Cinderella because the match was already announced and the tournament was like a lame duck. So having Tam Nakano win the title, win the tournament, get the dress, get the tiara, look beautiful, and announce that her wish is to add a stipulation to her title match.
Right.
Cosmic Angels disbandment, retirement, career versus title, or something like that. Title versus title, career versus career, or something like that. Something extreme, which would have been just a week before the show happens, but it would be like last spur to sell some tickets.
No, I get that.
So that was my thinking. But then she got thrown out of the ring by Natsuko Tora, and that's a title match that we are going to get relatively soon.
Yes, it is. All right, Velke, I'm gonna bring in someone else here, but thank you
for your time,
sharing your thoughts. I always appreciate hearing your thoughts, especially when it comes to Tam, because it makes me laugh all the time. I appreciate your dedication to it. Right? You're not faking it.
No,
and that's what I appreciate.
My disdain for Tam Nakano is pure and true, and you cannot fake it. The first thing, I am much more knowledgeable in Tam lore than anyone else, thanks to my knowledge of my enemy.
They love the hating. Generational hater, you've been called.
Thank you.
So I'll send you out here. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for
Thank you so much.
popping the crowd. Um, everyone, go check out Velk. You can check out all your thoughts on Twitter. I think you always give you always back up your thoughts, which is what I appreciate the most.
Thank you,
If
sir.
yes. All right, Dylan, you're here. Another Tim hater. Perfect timing.
I am here.
Um,
You know what's funny is I haven't talked to another human being all morning. So I was like, oh, I should probably go get a water, but I'm next. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I realized Velke is the only person more long winded than I am. So I was
mm,
cool. I got my water. I'm ready to continue the Tam hate train. No, I'm not going to do that.
all right. Well, that's good. Um,
Well, to some degree, I will, but we'll get there.
Velke said wow because you said uh you now I'll ask, and you can answer this however you want. Ultimately, with the show complete, how are your feelings about the biggest show in Stardom's history?
um, I liked it a lot. Alex is like the highest person on it that I personally know, so it's gonna cause a lot of tension because I thought it was a really great show. Um, but I actually, and listening to Velke talk, I actually really appreciated his insight because I do compare it to Sakura Genesis in a way, because even though this show was definitely better and
Yeah.
definitely more catered to my tastes and just all of those things, um, I will say Sakura Genesis for me had a moment that this show didn't, right? Because that
Mm,
Sonata win for me,
right.
I jumped out of my chair,
Comes down to
freaked out.
personal taste.
Yeah, jumped out of my chair at 5 a.m., jumped out, was yelling, was super excited because that's my guy, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that at all on the show because
You didn't have
I'm
your
not a big
guy.
I'm not a big Tam guy, as everybody
Right.
knows. I'm not even a big Giulia guy either. So it's not like,
You
oh, if
weren't gonna do
Giulia
it
won,
that
I
way.
would have been freaking out. Maybe if Saya won, but then again,
Mm,
I've seen her win 15 times in a row. I've had enough of that. You know, what I mean, like
sure.
I enjoy it. But so I think that this show wasn't meant for me, and like the wins that did matter to me were the Shuri win and was the Mayu win, and I loved those. But I didn't have that like jump out of my chair excitement moment that a lot of people did have because a lot of people do love Tam, and a lot of people do love Mina. But I just, those astronauts ain't for me. Uh, so I recognize that the show is probably one of the best in a long time. Alex is trying to put it up there with like second behind Dream Slam, and I was like, you need to calm down a little bit. Um, but like I think it was a really great show.
We're only over 24 hours, so
Exactly. I know.
I'm gonna
He
let it
asked me
settle in for a
yesterday.
little bit.
He asked me yesterday. He's like, "So do you think today's show was like?" I was like, "No, I don't have an opinion yet, Alex. Like, I'm still
Uh,
upset. Like that Mina won. Like, what do you want from me?"
well, that's the funny thing. As someone that didn't want Mina to win the title, and I openly admit that I do not hide my feelings about Mina. Um, she actually, I thought the moment was worth it because I don't think the title reign will be long. Now, if the title reign's long, I'll be eating my words within the next few months.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
I will ask, what was your favorite match of the show? I already know the answer, but not everyone listening does. So, what was
Um,
your favorite match of the show? And yeah,
it
we'll
was
go.
it was
We'll go.
Sameka Micah,
Mhm.
which is kind of obvious. I
I think
outside
it was
of
your
like
favorite
the
match of the show before the show started.
100%. I mean, it's my favorite match of the show every time that they wrestle a match. So that makes sense. But I I will say the high speed opener
Mhm.
was probably like outside of just like the fact I was crying through the Micah Hameka match. So obviously it meant a lot to me. Um, like pound for pound, I thought that the Izumi match was great, and also the Shuri Hashimoto match. But you can't really beat two of your favorite wrestlers in a retirement match. I always say retirement matches are inherently meaningful in a
Mhm.
way. And one of my favorite matches of all time was Megumi Kudo and Combat Toyota, two best friends had Combat's last match together. It was this meaningful thing. They both cried as they exploded and died. Um, and this was kind of similar to that in a weird but obvious way. That's two people who really care about each other a lot ending one of their careers, the bigger one's career. There's a lot of parallels between my favorite wrestler my favorite match and this match, so you could probably guess
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it meant a lot. And I feel like, I mean, I was crying the second she came out, man. Like she was wearing the fucking the get up, which also reminded me of Megumi Kudo, but like I just loved the dress and everything, and it made me really, emotional. And then Mina doing the call, I start crying like my eyes out. It was rough. And the match itself was just great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was that match that you want. It was similar to the match they did last year, but a little
But
bit
with a
more fleshed
finish.
out. Yeah, with a finish and with a bit more of a fleshed out just thought process there, I guess.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, the last minute or so just really
Right.
gets to you because like they're like and like you could be like a movie director and pull it out part by part because there was this very specific part where I think it must have been like the second Michinoku driver that she hit it and she just sat there and they
Mhm.
both just start like crying because they realize that it's
Yeah.
like this is the actual finish, like we're
Yeah.
getting there right now in the next 30 seconds, this is it. And like that moment, because everybody realized that, right? Like when
Mhm.
she didn't pin her, they were like, okay, so it's not over, but it's about to be, because you can't really, go much further than that. And that just kind of like broke me. And just that entire finish was really, really great. It was a great
Yeah.
match. Hameka's a great career.
I thought they did as good as they could with the emotions, especially at hand. Obviously, right? You gotta there's part of it that you have to play to. That's like, how, can you get through the match? Right?
Hmm.
Can you get through the match to make it feel fitting of the retirement? And I thought they absolutely did. Those closing minutes were really like the the perfect touch. And anyone that listened to English commentary knows that what Micah said was please kick out. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, they got me too. They got me finally. Like, because I wasn't like fully like, I was upset that Hameka was retiring, obviously, but I didn't have the connection like yourself or others as much. So it was like I was upset, but I was like, okay, well, she's doing this on her terms. I can accept that. I'm all happy about that. Good for her. But then when that happened, I was like, oh, why does
I
pro
think
wrestling do this to me?
I think the set, and I said earlier, I'm not a big Julia guy, but I am a big DDM guy. And
Sure.
I think the saddest thing is after the Giulia match, Hameka tweeted, and then the one of the producers retweeted it with some pictures. Hameka said that the match itself with Micah was great and she loved it, but she didn't feel sad about retiring until the second that Julia lost, and she
Right.
realized that she will never second a DDM match again, and her best friend just lost the belt. And then there was pictures of from the producer, the main Japanese producer of the company. There was pictures of just Hameka just like fucking like standing there and like kneeling, just like about to cry. Tekla looking distraught. They got a picture of Mike on commentary, just looking furious. And I
Yeah.
was just like, this is real. You know what I mean? Like that's a real moment because you know beyond just one of their closest friends retiring, Julia losing the belt, which obviously is a lot less severe for a wrestler because obviously wrestling's wrestling, but just that moment of like just disappointment for DDM
Yeah.
was a lot, right? And
Yeah.
that kind of hurt. That kind of hurt. I wasn't too invested in like, oh, Julia needs to continue her reign, but I was kind of just like, damn, this is like a rough day for the Juggernaut faction that for 3 years didn't lose at all. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it was a real rude awakening for the group, I would say.
They got to reshuffle now.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, we
I,
want to talk about me getting sad again this morning?
oh, I know. Well, that's that. We can talk about that instead of. I think I kind of know your thoughts about the rest of the show now. So yeah, I guess
There,
that's
we could talk. I mean, obviously, I have another
well.
podcast to talk about
Yeah, I know exactly.
tomorrow.
So I'm
So
not gonna I'm not
you
gonna
know,
take too much away from you. And the beauty of this is we kind of talk about all Joshi. So I think this is
yeah,
a good time to do it. So of course Suzuki
man.
on her way out of prominence after her match with Jun Kasai. And I've been very convinced the moment that I saw out of prominence, I was like, well, she's got to be signing somewhere. Why would you leave you didn't have to
Yeah,
leave the
she's
group.
signing somewhere.
Um,
Um,
it better be, well, it better be here. I think it will be. I do think it will be. But
she might go
if
back to ice. Who knows?
that would be insane. that would be like the biggest stunner of the year if
She
she
did
went
go out
back
on
there.
her back. She
She
did.
did.
I will say
That's
that
true.
that's probably And I already wasn't super high on the trios match. But I think that makes me look back on it even like a little bit worse because I realized that it's like, damn, Kurumi's never gonna get another. Like she ain't coming back. Like
Nah,
Kurumi has no reason to be here no more.
no,
And
I think we're probably. I could see. I mean, recent Karumi coming back is never out of the question, but I highly doubt they'll come back much.
yeah, and that's a shame because I think Kurumi, more than Suzu, even this first part of the year, has showed up to Stardom shows, right? Like Suzu's
Yeah,
obviously always like on a certain level, but Kurumi's really been like, no, I'm gonna make the most of my minutes. I'm gonna kill it, and she has been killing it. She's one of my
yeah.
favorite wrestlers this year. Um, Obviously she didn't have the 5-star last year that Suzu had, but she really has gotten the chance to kind of just like show out, and it's a shame that you know in her last match, I don't think she got enough opportunity to show out. She made Natsupoi sound like a little girl, which is funny. Um, but just dragging her around, Natsupoi screaming bloody murder, like that was great. But it is a bit sad that Suzu's leaving prominence, and yeah, I mean I'm a big deathmatch guy as well.
Yeah.
So she says she's gonna keep doing death matches, but it's like realistically she's not gonna keep doing death
So
matches.
so this has been my as I've made my thoughts put all together. I think she's going to be on the same type of contract that Sayori Anu's on. Whatever this contract is, we don't really know yet. But she's around a lot, so she seems more signed than not than like the other freelancers we've been experiencing over the past year. Um, I think it's some sort of like tiered contract where she can hit a few dates outside. Maybe if Stardom had to accept like, yeah, you can do a death match here or there to get Suzuki in the door, like full time, I don't think they would say no.
Yeah.
When she wasn't in Catch the Wave, it was the first like alert.
See,
It was like,
I was a bit suspicious of it like a while ago because
mm,
of the series, right? I I don't know for sure, but I felt like the deathmatch series for Suzu was shorter than 10. But at some point it moved up to 10 and it's been 10 and then it's like, okay, I don't know what she does past this deathmatch
mm,
series, right? And I love the deathmatch series. I thought, her versus Harada was how I really got into Harada because I was like, that was a killer match. It was a bigger guy who, obviously demolished her, but also wasn't afraid to kind of sell for her and kind of, develop this match. And I thought
sure,
that, I grew a lot of respect for him, and he became one of my favorite deathmatch wrestlers nowadays. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, damn, like I really liked Suzu's prominence output. I really liked it a lot. I liked kind of having her do both, you know,
yeah, I
uh,
did too.
and now that she's probably presumably going to sign somewhere, uh, some are have the idea that it's you know something more sinister than just signing with Stardom, i.e., being Noah's female, which sounds very funny. Her and Mayu Iwatani wrestling every single month could be. I mean, that'd be great, but
That'd be great, but
I mean, it would be
I
good
I
matches. But
I think I would be absolutely stunned if she's signing somewhere and it's not Stardom. Truthfully,
but also with her signing with Stardom, theoretically, she falls in DDM
yeah,
without prominence.
yeah, she's going to DDM.
Us lovers are fucking dying out here.
Well, that's what I was about to bring up because
Like
that's
we
why I
are
wanted to talk to
suffering.
you about it. Because I was like, well, Micah now moves down. Well,
Like further,
no
like she's
offense
like
to
at
her.
most on par with my Sakurai, and that's concerning.
Ugh.
That's
Well,
gross.
I
I
thought
would
with Himeka leaving, Micah was like, all right, now she's the number two unquestioned. And my Sakurai's going up, but my Sakurai's like Unagi Sayaka now. And you can take that for what you will. Um,
she's oh
but
my god, my Sakurai's gonna get like 17 title matches, and I'm gonna go crazy.
but to
Like
me,
crazy.
like once Giulia lost and I saw this, I was like, are they gonna go with like Giulia and Suzu as like this way to bring the both up? And I was like, holy shit! If that is what they're doing,
You know what would
didn't see that coming.
be you know what would be really fucked is if they ran back the All Star gimmick from a couple years ago. Julia's rock bottom. And then her
Yeah.
super strong tag team partner destroys the new tag champs in a month.
Listen, if it's Suzu though, that'd be kind of beast.
I mean, no, it would be beast, but it'd be not cool. Because like it's like Giulia, you need to
Yeah.
stop. You need to stop
No,
using this goddamn tag division just for like fun.
part
Like
of
it's
me
not
thinks
cool.
that's what they do. Like, I'm starting to think that's maybe where we go with it. Like Giulia and Suzu kind of working together. And I wouldn't be upset with it. It's just like, oh, tough for the new eras. But you know, the new eras are already off to a tough start, so it almost doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I mean,
The toughest of starts.
yeah, it's not.
Do not fantasy book killing Mariah. No. We're gonna kill. It'll be Ami
I mean, to be
Saray.
fair,
That gets killed.
Mariah has other like yeah, it's just Ami. Like Mariah has other avenues. She still has a wish,
Yeah.
which she hasn't even spoke about at
No,
all. So
no.
that's
Maybe we'll just
fun.
forget. Maybe we'll just forget for a few months. And then she'll be
Honestly, I
like,
don't know why they didn't give it to my Sakurai if they were going to go this
no.
direction.
Stop.
I mean, I agree. I didn't want my Sakurai to win.
But
Like
putting it into the universe is enough for me
that's
to
fair.
be
That's
like,
fair.
okay. So the Suzu Suzuki part. I guess my last question for you, since you know everyone go check out Stardom Quest, of course.
Yep.
Dylan will give his full thoughts on the show there.
Early this week. It'll be on Wednesday.
Yes, it'll be on Wednesday, releasing Wednesday. Big time. Thank God Alex puts those up and not me. Anyways, future. Now we know what Fukuoka looks like. We know what kind of where we're building. How do you like the Fukuoka card? What excites you, and why is the answer obviously Azumi versus Meisera?
Yeah, I didn't even get to. I mean, I'll gush about that tomorrow. But I mean, I'm excited for it. I made a joke earlier, but I think it remains true. And I think Velke touched on a great point. Is that I am sick and tired of these god dang astronauts. Because Club Venus and Cosmic Angels are different things now. I just gotta call them astronauts. That's it. Because they both, you know, one of them's a fucking planet and one of them's whatever fuck Cosmic Angels is. I'm sick of them. I'm tired of them. I don't want to see them anymore. But I think Velke touched on a very good thing is that it's like now I get to root against them. Unfortunate thing is, Natsupoi versus Mina. Stop. Why do we have to see it again? It'll be good, but I'm just
Because
like,
this will be the first match that's actually a match.
yeah.
We haven't
That's
had a
true.
real match yet.
They had the 5-star match. That was good. That was a good
Was that
match.
full? Did they go the full time?
Yeah, they went. They didn't go.
That was a good match.
They went. Yeah, because
Wasn't it double
Mina.
count out?
No, Mina beat her.
Oh, dastardly.
Mina beat her. No, you know what? You know what? And this
I
is. I'm
remember
gonna
that.
take
That
a
hurt.
little bit of time. Natsupoi joined, and Mina's like, "Yo, I don't like this chick." And Natsupoi was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be the Natsupoi Revolution." And then Mina's like, "No, it's Cosmic Angels Revolution. Get with the team, brother. You know, team mindset." And then 2 months later, she beats Natsupoi and says, "It is the Mina Revolution, motherfucker." And I was like, "This bitch, bro, that's crazy." Like she's like, we need a team mindset. Why are you being so individualistic, you
I
terrible
remember
person? And then a month later, she's like, this is the Mina Revolution. Fuck y'all.
that.
And now
I
we're
think,
here. And now we're
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think them getting a main event spot's obviously a big deal. They're both very popular, so it's not that surprising.
It's not.
But,
It's upsetting because all the Fukuoka crew. Oh yeah, that's another thing I'm upset about.
well, Hazuki got her spot.
Is that Hazuki and Koguma are V1 for
Imagine if
New
they just
Eras.
won.
That would be so beautiful. That'd be so nice. Just being like, you know what, fuck it. Let's just get back. Let's get back to the good team. Let's let's make sure.
I didn't see this, but Micah singles run while Suzu is tag team with Giulia for a bit. That wouldn't be all that bad. Wouldn't be all
I mean,
that
I'm cool
bad.
with it. I'm cool with that.
I mean, I don't think Micah's winning a title anytime soon, but
I mean, it's
he
Mike or
could.
Mirai.
Right, it has to be. That's what I said earlier. I just meant anytime soon, as in like
There
not the
is
next month.
there is one other thing that I thought about last night that got me way too excited for something that's never gonna happen. Outside of Soriano, there's only one angel who hasn't been killed. Micah kind of has Tam. Like Tam's the last one. Micah's beaten every single Club Venus slash Cosmic Angel.
Double title match to kill Dylan and Velke.
Oh yeah, that would be terrible. You know what? That that would actually be very funny because I for a long time have, and I know I'm just like rambling a little bit at this point, but I for a long time have believed that the biggest possible thing you could do in Stardom is the double title win that Mayu did. Right? Mayu's the only person to do it. but it was looking like Arisa wanted to do it. It was looking like, Mayu wanted to do it again, but they just never really ran the belt. They did the Kagetsu Momo match in the middle of the 5-star a few years ago. That was incredible. Uh, Went to a draw. But I have long been saying I think a double title match in Stardom works better than it does anywhere else
Mm,
because the two titles have very distinctive distinctive
yeah,
personalities. You can't really combine them like they did everywhere else. Like you could just if you lose one, it doesn't mean that you aren't unworthy of the other. It's like that's the great thing about Stardom. So if they did do a double title match with Mina and Tam, it would make the most sense, but would also infuriate me the most.
Commodore Laz, I will be here for Micah slaying Tam at some point.
Exactly. I mean, dude,
She
the
is the
Michinoku
Cosmic Angel
driver.
Killer.
Yeah, the Michinoku driver has taken so many angels out. Like, I mean, she's
Bodied them
beaten
all.
Natsupoi with it a million times now. That really famous match with Mai Himepoi against Mina, Unagi, and Mai Sakurai, where she just was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to wrestle anymore. Just Michinoku drivered all three of them and stacked them in one.
Sure.
Like, Tam's ready. Tam's ready to go down with the Angel Killer. I'm just saying.
I think you're right. I think you're not too far off. It'll be interesting to see who Tam faces first. Of course, Fukuoka, she's teaming with Sayori and New against Starlight Kid and Ruaka.
Dude, like,
Um,
Ruaka should win.
Ruaka should just win. Just
Ruaka should just
hit
win.
everyone. Yes. So this is something I briefly talked about earlier. Apparently, Star wants to run Yokohama as their mania going forward. Yeah, it's gonna be. It could be their new like Wrestle Kingdom type thing. That's what Kadani said. He wants it to be an all-star event every year. Now they just need to settle on a name, and we'll be all good.
Yeah. I really liked World Climax. It's a shame that they kind of found
I liked it too.
something better or that they prefer more, but
They love the all-star. That's
yeah,
like their thing. I
but
think if you have
All-Star World
all-star,
Climax.
whatever you want to call it, and Dream Queendom, you have your Dominion and your Wrestle Kingdom. Maybe separate them a little
It's
more, but
it's yeah, it's definitely interesting because the 5-star leads into their Dominion, quote unquote, right?
right,
And that's like,
right,
Best of Super Juniors leads into Dominion. Obviously, there's levels to that.
yeah.
So it's like it's interesting. And I kind of like it that way if they do
Mm,
decide to put more emphasis on this springtime show instead of the December show,
yeah,
because then the 5-star does feel a bit more fluid, where it's like, okay, this could be a big deal or it could not be, it doesn't really give away its hand too much. Plus, it's closer to the anniversary, the first in springtime. They like doing every year for the anniversary. So I get
that's
it.
true. That's true. Yeah, I get it too. And I think we're in for an interesting next couple of months for sure. I like if and based off the first pay-per-view, it feels like we're kind of done with the outsiders for the time being.
Which
Because
sucks.
yeah, it's
They
weird.
were the best part of this company for the past 4.5 months.
Well, here was my sell for it. I as long as Prominence and was sticking around, I was okay. Now that's not happening. Um, presumably. But if I get Suzuki full time, I'll live. And Sayori News full time all of a sudden, pretty much. She'll miss a show here or there, but she's on like almost all the Golden Week shows, for example. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I don't know what freelancers will be back and what will be out. I'm sure we'll save them for the bigger events, which is very funny because Stardom's the bigger company and all these people are coming from smaller things. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, I enjoyed the freelancers. I enjoyed the involvement, but they have a stacked roster, and focusing on the roster is never a bad thing either. If we
Yeah, they
want
have
to
a
do that,
lot of people now. Like I'm thinking, how are they gonna run a 5-star uh with so many people?
they have
Like
so
I'm
many
getting
people.
concerned.
I think someone like a Tomoka Inaba is probably going to be in it this year,
Yeah.
right? So
But that leaves out someone like, and this is always the person that they leave out. It leaves out a Saida, right? And that
mhm.
sucks. Saida usually kills it in
If
five
they
stars.
keep it to 13 per block, and they cut out Risa Sarah, obviously, and assume Susan's in it. You put Inaba back in. It's still not enough room. It's still not
I mean, and you have to get the Mai Sakurais in, who are kind of built. You gotta get the
She was
Waka
in it
in.
this year, past
I know,
year.
but like I'm thinking, like where is fat to be
Oh
cut?
yeah,
And like you gotta get Waka in it now because Waka apparently matters. Mariah May, if she's around, she needs to be in it. Like she'll be great. Tekla wasn't in it last year. She needs to be in it. Like it's a rough sell, especially considering what if they want you know, homegirl Moné in it or something crazy
Well,
like
I
that.
mean, if Monet said yes, then someone's getting booted.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
don't.
you
They don't
can kick out
care who's
pretty
getting
much
booted at
anyone.
that point.
Yeah, but you get what I mean is that it's like there's people on the roster. You
Yeah.
know, Anu needs to be in it theoretically if she's
I'm assuming
gonna be
she'll be in
around
it.
more. Like there are a lot of people on the
Mhm.
roster, and
Yeah.
even more that are like outsiders coming in. Unimon, Unimon doesn't need to
Yeah.
be in it, but she's around all the time.
She's a roster member now. She
Yeah,
only works.
exactly.
She only works for Stardom now.
I think she's wrestled 2 shows, and they were both for
I think
for
they're giving
Yoneyama,
her, or they already did give her like a
a homecoming show.
which is
Yeah.
pretty crazy. But good for her, obviously.
But yeah,
That
I
they,
mean, the 5 stars looking it's gonna be a hard sell. Like it's gonna turn into that G1 climax where people who are dope don't
yeah.
necessarily get in it.
Well, we know Nanai's not going anywhere.
I'm- I don't know what's going on with Nanai. That's another thing is that Nanai and you, I said it last week that I was
I
like,
think Yu's going somewhere. I don't think
that's the
Nanai's
issue.
going anywhere.
That's the issue is that I was saying it uh last week on Quest. That's like, well, I hope that they keep the belts because if they don't, you could just dip, and
I
then
think
I
she's
could just
gone.
tag with Unimon, and that's it. And like that could be
That'd
her
be a fun team.
tag. I mean, it's a good tag, but like
Yeah.
you is like one
Yeah.
of the best wrestlers
I just
that
think
the
you
company
can't
has.
lose much either, so that's part of the problem.
Which
Because
I don't.
she's champion around the world, man. That's Pro Wrestling Eve's top dog.
I've seen her lose a few times in Wave. Let's be real here. I've seen her lose some matches that she shouldn't be losing, some places that she shouldn't be losing. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
I love the idea of her politicking and big leaguing Stardom though, and being like, I'm never taking a fall for this company.
Yeah, her
I'm
and
gonna go.
Mayuki here fine losing to Tomoka Watanabe and other people, but
Yeah,
you were once we're in Stardom.
it's like I'll lose. I'll lose to I don't know who's a random, but like I'll lose to this indie wrestler
Yeah,
who's cool, but probably shouldn't be losing to him. But I won't lose to
yeah.
Mirai.
You
Fuck
tell him,
you.
Velke. Miyuki Takase needs a fucking idea. I will
Right.
say Miyuki Takase walked into Stardom and didn't lose, so
It's
just
true.
saying,
Get
just saying.
her back in. Get her in the
But
5-star. Why
But
not?
everyone, make sure to go check out Stardom Quest tomorrow. That's where Dylan will share all his full-on thoughts. He'll talk more about the Suzu situation, and whatever with Alex. So
I will
head what?
one last thing is I will
Uh-huh.
echo Velke's sentiments really quickly and say I'm excited because I didn't get my Sonata thing right now. I'm excited to get my Sonata thing when Utami beats Tam 6 months from now, or when anybody beats Tam. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for my Sonata moment. Didn't get it here. I'm excited to get it down the road.
You're gonna get your Sonata moment. That's the beauty of Mina and Tam as champions. You might get two, could
Yeah.
get two. If might go on, you definitely get two. That'd be your real Sonata moment instead of Hiroki Goto. But that's where I send you off. I have 2 more people to bring on, and then I'll call it time because I am tired.
Always a pleasure.
That's a good point, Kyle. Now Ishikawa obviously is a possibility too after that interesting conversation with Giulia that
hit
people
piece.
figured out. As a newbie, what's with all the Tam hate? I'm gonna kick Dylan out before I let him answer this. So goodbye, Dylan. Thank you for coming. So the Tam hate. It's some people just don't like the Tam road and her. She's one to exaggerate, but it's not like well, unless it's Velke, it's actual hatred. But for everyone else, it's like it's just it's an acquired taste like Tam Nakano has become. And her wrestling style. It's literally just these two. It just happened to be back to back. But I'm gonna have Venji on right now, real quick. And then I'll have one more guest, and then we'll call it a day. Venji, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, hello.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to the show. Happy you're gonna be able to share some of your thoughts about All-Star Grand Queendom, but I mostly want to hear your thoughts, of course, about Mayu Iwatani getting the big win. You, like myself, diehard fan, Mayu Iwatani. She's the GOAT. She's the greatest of all time. She is the best. So what did that win mean to you?
I'm not exaggerating when I say I popped. Like, I can't remember a single time I've had a reaction like that. Like, it's very personal to me, her having a big win, especially after Kyrie, man. Like
The Kyrie loss broke me personally.
Yeah.
I remember like I put my head down. I remember that show vividly. I put my head down and I just sat there for like 10 minutes not moving. I was like, why am I so dead from this? And then I was like, I guess it's just I thought this was the time, and I think that was part of the problem, right? I prepared myself this time a little bit because of the contract news.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm still gonna hold out hope. And I would have probably been broken.
The thing was, it felt like Mayu should have won.
Yeah.
Like in the Kyrie match.
Yeah.
And the whole performance throughout the whole match from Mayu specifically, it was just you felt like she was gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like that was the whole story they were telling.
Absolutely.
But hey, I'm glad it's happened now.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I ended up saying it is like, I'm actually happier she lost now because she would have lost immediately to Mercedes, and then that would have been it. Instead, she gets to be the person to beat Mercedes, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Commodore Laz, she's the clear goat of STARDOM. You already know. You already know.
100%.
So I have Jamie waiting here to come on and chat with me soon. But Venji, I'll ask you, what were your thoughts about the overall show besides just Mayu Iwatani, of course, being Mayu Iwatani?
I thought it was incredible. Like, for what they were trying to do, it feels like the perfect jumping on point for new fans.
Yeah.
Like, they brought in so many new eyes to STARDOM. And to have a complete reset, especially of the champions, it feels like a good jumping on point for new people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was great. Every match delivered pretty much, except the tag match.
Yeah. The tag match, listen, if you have one like wet fart dud on an amazing show, I think it's okay.
Yeah. But
right?
It was just to finish. I think the match was fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think if the match ended normal, we'd be walking away saying, all right, it was fine, cool, great, move on. But it ended the way it did, so it left people with a little sour taste, but I think most people moved on literally the match after and so on. What was your favorite match tonight?
The main event. I was very close to saying Micah and Himika, purely because if a match can get that kind of reaction out of me, it has to be up there. But in terms of, especially in ring as well, the main event was just a fight.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a fight.
Especially the shocking finish. I was not expecting Giulia to lose, which it felt like the right choice, in my opinion.
No, I think that was my ultimate feeling. I think I felt that Giulia losing was the right move about like maybe it was halfway through the match.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I think this is the right move. If she ultimately wins, because I wasn't for sure who was winning. That was like the ultimate. Yeah, I think this is the right move. I think this is where you go moving forward because Julia's going to come back to this spot. She's going to get back to the top.
100%.
For Tam, it was truly now or never. And I think that's why it worked so well for me and like yourself. And I guess my other question, which I've asked, of course, everyone is, how do you feel about the future with all the new champions and where we're going? Obviously, Mayu is IWGP champions, exciting, but that's more like down the road. We don't know. I mean, her first defense probably won't be until Dominion, if I had to guess. So, like, in terms of overall, how are you feeling about the new champions and the directions? And is there anyone you'd like to necessarily see kind of take those top two titles?
I just think it's interesting now. Like, there's so many people that you could put in that spot. Obviously, Mirai's the obvious one for the white belt. But
I hope so. I willed that win to existence. I'm telling the world that now. I willed that win to existence. I clapped and clapped and clapped until I couldn't clap no more. I think if people didn't like it.
I think she needs a clean win after that count out as well. Like for her first championship, that being the way she wins it.
If she loses to Mina, oh boy,
she's in trouble. I'm not gonna be happy.
She would be really in trouble because her first title win was the way it was, right? So like it's almost like how do you build her back up now after her first title win was even that it didn't feel right, So I think that's interesting. Yeah, I think it has to be. It's Mirai, Micah, those two obviously jump out.
Yeah.
And then the world title, I have no freaking clue. I've thought kind of Utami maybe the option.
I don't know. I have a strong inkling it might be Giulia again. I don't know why.
Also that too. Yeah.
I think the Utami match will happen, but I don't see them putting the belt back on her yet. As much as I'd like it, I don't see it happening.
I think you and me agree. We'll have a 2-time World Stardom champion next. I think that's the only direction that makes sense right now with Tam as champion. It almost feels like it should be Giulia, but we'll have to wait and see. But is there any final thoughts on the show? Again, thank you so much for coming on here. I'm happy that you came from the chat. You were here for the whole time. I'm happy you were able to make the mic work. But final thoughts on the show before I let you go.
I just think if anyone is wanting to get into Joshi or just specifically Stardom, watch this show. You won't regret it, and I mean that.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly said. I think this is the show to watch. I don't know if we've ever had a more perfect show to bring fans in, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
People will debate what's the greatest show of all time in Stardom history. This is in the conversation. That's how. Yes, it was the biggest, but it also delivered on all those fronts, right? And that's really important.
Every match pretty much delivered.
Yeah, except for one, and that won't. And it was the match that I had least anticipation for. So in the end, it wasn't.
The thing is, I was actually looking forward to that match, especially because I was expecting it to be stiff.
Yeah. Well, so I said this on a preview. I said if there's a match that could really surprise people, it would be that one.
This was my one.
Because everything else, I think everyone was kind of expecting to deliver in one way or the other. So, yeah, but it's tough. Hopefully Mirai and Ami can have a good reign now, or they just immediately drop the belts and they'll be kind of sad. But we'll have to wait and see. But thank you so much for joining, Benji. I appreciate all your support, obviously, and I'm happy that I could share my love of Mayu winning with someone.
Of course,
because obviously that's always a great feeling. So, we're heading to. I'm gonna toss you. I'll send you out now here. But thank you so much. I hope to have you on again in the future. I like talking with you.
I would like to too. All right.
So I'll chat with you soon.
Bye.
All right, Jamie Ross here, Wrestle Purist, wrapping up the show.
We're here.
Yes, you've made it. I know. Immediately when the show was over, when All Star Grand Queendom was over, I got the message, I'll be there. And I think that's kind of the testament to how great the show was, that Jamie was ready to kind of pump up the show a little bit. And I'm very happy to have you on here as we wrap it up. You are the main event. You had the countdown, the Cody counter over on Twitter. So I'm happy to have you. I've been talking for 2 hours now. I am tired. So we won't go too long, but we'll go long enough. So all right, first thoughts, as I've been having everyone talk about. Initial thoughts on the show.
Just amazing. Maybe my favorite Stardom show of all time. It's obviously, there's a few in the contention there, but it's like the lineup was crazy, and I think it delivered on pretty much every match. I've been watching a little bit of the show. I would agree that the tag match was probably the only one that didn't live up to it. But again, that was the one that I was kind of least looking forward to anyway. And we got new champions, which I was cool with. So, but everything else, I loved all the title changes, particularly the one at the end. Like really, they topped off the whole thing for me. And yeah, it was just an incredible night of wrestling.
Yeah, it was a night, obviously, to remember for Stardom. It was a show that, when we talk biggest shows ever for a company, you kind of need them to hit in more ways than one. And I still think this show over-delivered, if that makes sense. Because you don't expect, especially the main card specifically, you don't expect every match to hit or exceed expectations. And when only one didn't, I mean, that's a masterclass by the roster.
Yeah, I can't think of many shows where that's the case. Even just everything, Wrestle Kingdoms and stuff like that. You very, very rarely get a show where almost everything is like near perfect. And it was just like back to back, huge matches. Like I said, the booking, all the title changes I thought were perfect. I'm just like really looking forward to where we build on from here.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's the most exciting part. Obviously, is like now and calling the show a restart. I didn't know they were going to go in as far as with every title changing, right? Including the IWGP, right? And I think the funniest thing is, right? Like 2 days before, we have Giulia and Mercedes being like, yeah, double title match, and now neither of them are champions. I thought for sure one would be champion. That's how we'd get the match.
Yeah, it's crazy. It feels like a totally like it's like a whole new season of Stardom has just started with the whole. It's crazy, and yeah, I think we will probably get that. Maybe we're even more likely to get that match now because it's so unpredictable. Either one can lose, right, and it doesn't harm either one too much. So maybe it frees them both up for that.
Can't wait for the 15-minute draw.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's another one we could get that. I always kind of anticipated we could possibly get a draw between those two if it was to go down. But regardless, if we get that match, I'll be happy.
I think a lot of people will. I realized over the past couple weeks that while Mayu and Giulia, not Mayu and Giulia, I've seen that. Mayu and Mercedes was like my dream match. For a lot of people, the idea that Mercedes is even here is obviously the dream, as it should be. But now that Giulia match is like the one, and it makes sense. It feels like that's a match that'll main event the show somewhere down the road. It's just a matter of when I want it. I need it to happen in Stardom. I do not want it to happen in New Japan. I've been very appreciative of the New Japan spotlight and stuff like that. That is one match I will be actually very upset if it happens in a New Japan ring.
Yeah,
not Stardom ring.
Because if it's taking place in a New Japan ring, unless you're getting on a show where there's no IWGP World Title defense, right? It's not going to main event, and a match of that caliber, particularly like, just obviously Mercedes was the star she is, but even Giulia now, you'd argue, is probably the one with the biggest star power in Stardom, and it's like for that match to not main event would be criminal. So yeah,
it would, and I guess I'm trying to map out what talking points I want to hit now. Let's talk a bit about Mina. Mina winning, of course, winning the Wonder of Stardom Championship in what was the match of her career, as I talked about earlier. It's a match that I actually have more appreciation for as time goes on, because I think back to moments in that match, and it really plays how great these two were against one another, and it was the perfect culmination for Saya Kamitani. Reign, I thought. Admittedly, a lot of people start to get tired of Saya as champion towards the end, and that's what happens with all long reigns. I don't think that was a Saya Kamitani problem. That is this has been 15 title matches long. Yeah, I'm ready.
It's very difficult to keep like a 15 title defense reign feel interesting. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it for me, it peaked at Stardom Dream Queendom. That was when I was like, all right, I'm done. Like that's enough. I don't need Haruka Umasaki title matches. And then I got Ami Sarai, and I was like, come on, you're killing me now.
Yeah, there was a stretch earlier in the year where we knew it was Mina, and we were pushing it to this show. Yeah. And the ones in between. I mean, look, the Hazuki match was one of my favorite. I'm repping Hazuki now. One of my favorite matches of the year in Stardom.
Yeah. It's my second favorite Stardom match of the year.
This show's kind of thrown those rankings around a bit for me, because there was a ton of great matches. But
yeah, my top five probably consist of like a lot of these matches.
Yeah, we did our match ratings for Wrestle Purists earlier today, and I gave out a lot of very high ratings, so it'll be interesting to see what those averages come to. Well,
deservingly so.
Yeah, this white belt match, Mina Shirakawa, obviously we voted her as the second most improved wrestler of the whole of last year, only behind the Acclaimed, and we all know how much they've come along. But even this match, I did not think Mina, could possibly have a match of this quality. We only like a year or so ago, she was alongside Unagi Sayaka, were probably two of considered the worst wrestlers in the company. They've always had the charisma and stuff, but the roster's so stacked. But this match was it's just like like you said, even though we knew how much she'd improved, it was a whole nother level. The elevated dragon screw leg whip she did was like, that was incredible. She just bust out a ton of moves we've never seen from her before. And I think, and I really enjoyed their first match, the white belt match. I know it ended.
Yeah, I did too. I
I
thought that was the best match of Mina's career.
Yeah, I thought like, that's. I wasn't sure how we were going to top this one, even with the title change that I thought was happening. But God, they delivered.
Mina Hive, so happy for her. She showed her ability. She's so good. We have a few comments here. I'll go through them real quick. Loved All-Star Dream. Jesus Christ. I say Dream Queendom like it's nobody's business. All-Star Grand Queendom just as much, if not more, than my other favorite wrestling pay-per-views here, AEW's Revolution. Lewis Mina Hive, like I said. Mina Sabre Jr. was cooking. Yeah, so what I give Mina credit for is when she first introduced like this technical style, I was like, what the hell are we doing? I was like, what are we doing here? Because at the time I was very down on Mina. Admittedly, so a year ago I was so done with Mina. I admit that 100%. She got hurt at the end of 2021, and she had the Bloody Angel stuff, which I could not stand.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right,
not a huge fan of that myself.
That's it. It was a good run. Let's move on now. And then she got better and better and better, and she made this technical side actually entertaining, something that's not always good when some wrestlers do it. Only the best wrestlers do it, like Zack Sabre Jr., for example. And as we saw in the 5-star Grand Prix, she was really good at it and really good at it. And in the match, all three matches with Saya, it pretty much went, oh, that first one, the 5-star, that's maybe Mina's best singles match ever. Then she has the title match. I'm like, oh, well, that's absolutely Mina's best match ever. And now this one, no question about it, is Mina's best match ever. Lewis, the match with Mina and Saya had a clear story around Saya having doubts over the Phoenix Splash. So good. Yeah, I talked about this earlier in the stream. The beauty of the Phoenix Splash sell of her, like, I don't know, not only goes to the fact that she injured Mina and she's had doubts, but now her legs hurt. Right now her legs hurt. Now she's like, am I gonna hurt her again because I can't launch like I wanted to? Right, because it's a wrestling match, but she doesn't want to injure someone. It's a difference. And we saw Mina technically kick out of that. Remember when she got her face smashed in?
Oh yeah,
she kicked out.
A lot of people remember, obviously that's kind of forgotten in the whole the disaster that was that.
They did good bringing that up on commentary too.
Yeah. But like you said, she keeps leveling up. I'm interested to see where this reign goes, because that was I never had it pegged for a match of that level. So looking forward to the next few title defenses to see if she can match or even somehow level up on that further. But this was like a whole new level for Mina Shirakawa.
I never thought for a second that Mina Shirakawa was going to be your Wonder of Stardom champion and the one to end a record-breaking reign. And now that she is, I'm actually happy she is. It literally took me until this match to fully convince me. It really did. Like, I was like, And then the match happened. I was like, all right, she won me over. She got me there.
I had my doubts going into this match, even though the story made sense for Mina to get this win. There was a spanner thrown in the works for me, at least. It was Mariah winning the Cinderella. I didn't have that planned. Obviously, we did our predictions and we got that very wrong. I don't think too many people had that.
We tried multiple times to get that right, and we failed
gave it a few goes
every time. I think it creates an interesting future, though, right? Because Mariah should win, but it's like I don't know.
No, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. It's frustrating. It's frustrating the Mariah win, because we talked about it when we did that prediction show. Mariah, obviously, the running theme is that she gets these opportunities and doesn't win. If Mariah is challenging for the white belt, which hasn't been confirmed by any means, she could go for the red or IWGP.
Maybe she wants to crush Tam Road.
If that's the case, I don't see her winning either of those yet.
No.
And if that's the case, then what was the point in doing back-to-back Cinderella wins, right? But I'm not trying to see Mina's reign come to an end so soon, and that's where the booking decision of Mariah winning kind of bothered me. But regardless of that, I think they'd have a great match. But
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't know. It's a
well,
difficult
here's the
one.
thing. I don't think Mina's run should be long, but I don't know if it should be one defense and a loss now either.
Mm.
Before this match, I was like, yeah, fine, give her the moment. She got one defense and then drop it. Now, I think at least 2 defenses feels fair, like successful defenses.
I want to see what she can do with it.
Exactly.
I think another thing is with Mariah, and it's probably this is probably not an issue you have because I know you're way higher on her than I am. It's literally just that division, the white belt division. There's so many wrestlers who I feel like are
No,
ready
this is definitely a problem. It's
for that belt.
It
And I'm just like, I'm looking at Mariah and I'm like, I'll just have a lot of people ahead of you in that ranking.
Sure.
It's like, so when it comes to, we've just had a 15 defense reign.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to see a few other people.
Here's the way I look at it. I don't think Starlight Kid's gonna be next. Unfortunately for people, I don't think she's next. I don't think, obviously, I don't think Saya's coming back for it. I don't think like Ami Saray is ready for it. Mayu's not touching it. Utami's probably not going near this anytime soon. Though I think Utami getting a Wonder Reign is somewhere down the line, just not right now. Nor is it essential right now. The people that come up, I think that are ready. Natsupoi, who's not getting it, she's first defense, which is very upsetting. But because Natsupoi has the story that makes sense to beat her. But
yeah, I was kind of frustrated when they announced that match first. I was like, that should have been the end game.
They promised it too, though. Like after their Cinderella thing, they pretty much said this is the match. I think there's obviously interest in Suzu Suzuki now winning that belt. And listen, if Suzu Suzuki does sign on the dotted line, she jumps ahead of everyone for me to win any belt. So
I had it down to as like potentially dethroning Giulia, and that was before we thought she was like signing on the dotted line, Yeah. So I would absolutely agree. I think you kind of
much like I willed the Mariah win to happening. I have willed Suzu signing this goddamn contract to the future. Now I just need her to show up to make sure I'm not wrong. Yeah, but it's interesting because that's the beauty with Star. And here's the most interesting part. I think the Wonder Belt has so many more contenders than the world title does right now. Like clear contenders, I should say. Like it feels like, and Micah, of course. I didn't bring up Micah. Micah's we were talking about that a few minutes, like 20 minutes ago. But Micah, obvious choice too. Especially after the Jamaica stuff. And I think that you could play the Jamaica stuff into Mina versus Micah if you wanted to, right? I think that'd be really good. But you have at least 5, 6, 7 people that could win the Wonder Belt next. The world is like, I wasn't ready for Tam to win it, so I have no idea.
the Tam win is there's a point I wanted to hit. I love it so much, and it's not only just because I love Tam. I love Giulia as well, and as part of me is slightly disappointed we didn't. Sorry, getting a bit too excited there. Part of me is slightly disappointed we didn't get a longer reign with Giulia, but like I heard you talk about it a little bit earlier. She's getting that belt back at some point.
Yeah,
she might even be next after Tam. It wouldn't shock me too much. But I was the thing I was disappointed with Giulia. Not disappointed. Kind of like worried about is them going back down the same route as we have for the last 2 champions, where Tam loses the first challenge, wins the 5-star, and then wins the title in December. It'd have been fine. But we've gone down that road a few times now. So the fact that Tam's now won eliminates that possibility entirely. So now for me, the 5-star is like way more exciting of a prospect because I have no idea.
Wide open.
Yeah, it's
wide open. That is even more open.
Yeah, I mean that could be a case where the eventual winner of that 5-star, they might have an unsuccessful challenge, like because we haven't had that in the last couple. So yeah, we'd elevate someone there. But yeah, I just love that booking decision because I think it just keeps things fresh, and it just eliminates that like repetition.
I think crowning Tam was the right choice. I think, and that comes from someone who was very prepared for the long Giulia reign, getting matches with all her many rivals. But it keeps us on our toes now, right? Venji just said, I like things surprising me. That's exactly kind of how I feel now moving forward. It's like you have Tam Nakano as champion. You have a 5-star that is now much more wide open. At the time, I feel like when Giulia was champion, it was like, well, maybe it'll be Utami, maybe it'll be, assuming Giulia would get there, right? A lot of people were like, well, if Giulia gets there, these are probably the most likely options. I said Mariah at one time, but that was before she won the Cinderella. That ain't happening anymore. Because I did think they were going to elevate her maybe that way, but then they went back to back, and never did I expect that. So, and then, if Suzuki walks in the door, that's an option. I think Sayori Anu is a serious name.
Yeah,
moving forward.
It seems like she's signed, right?
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure if she's fully signed, but she's seemingly announced for like every show now. And also, I saw her earlier. I don't know whether I'm just going off the Twitter translate button. It seemed like she had some sort of announcement or something tomorrow, or maybe whether that's got something to do with it. That could be nothing. But
it could be. Maybe she announces her full-time signage or something, because she's mostly Stardom exclusive moving forward, from what it seems, which is pretty big deal. Obviously, she was freelancer forever, pretty much.
One of the best freelancers out there on the market.
For the past 3-4 years, it's been her and Asuka Veni as the top two, right? Like they've been the kind of, and then a lot of people became freelancers over the past 2 years, but those were kind of the two prominent ones. Now that Sayori's here, it's a big deal. But I think Sayori has a story too with Mina and Tam, that they could play to, which, as I want to bring up to you, we have this, of course, wonderful pose to close out the show. Kairi gave the death stare to that World of Stardom title. Sarah Anu kind of gave a look too that I noticed, but it was mostly Kairi looking at that. So Kairi and Tam obviously is a match they're going to do. I think that's very obvious, especially after they were fumbled at Wrestle Kingdom. Gato, we got buddy.
They had one hell of a 5-minute match. They did as much in
one of the best we'll see
as they possibly could have, right? I think I gave it like 3.5 or 3.75, something like that.
Yeah, I gave it as high as I felt
in 5 minutes, right? But yeah, if we get this properly on a main event Stardom show, this could be incredible. This is the match we should have got at Wrestle Kingdom.
And I wouldn't feel crazy if Kairi walked away as a champion eventually, because Kairi's run now, and it's funny when she says she's a free agent, and I will continue to put that in quotes because it hasn't changed. She won a Stardom belt finally, and she's a free agent. That's my favorite part. She finally won a belt in Stardom, and she's the one that's like people think is leaving. I think she's about to have a lot more matches than she was having. Helps that she's a champion, so it gives you a little more hope. But I think she will be around a little bit more moving forward, and I think that kind of does play to the possibilities here. But that's a match you could do at Flashing Champions pay-per-view right before the 5-star, which last year was actually Tam Nakano challenging Shuri, for example. Shuri defended against Momo as well. Or you can wait till after the 5-star, but it's definitely one you go with. And I don't think Kairi's jumping into the 5-star. If she does, she's your instant favorite, by the way. But if she does, you could also save that for the big show at the end of the year, if Tam runs that long. But again, that's the uncertainty, right? Moving forward, we don't know how long these reigns are going to be. I don't think we're hitting a year-long reign with either of the top two champions. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's like completely broken up the pattern of the last few reigns. They've all kind of followed the similar roads, and now that's out of the picture, it's opened it up for so many different possibilities. Like you said with Kairi, if she makes her way into title contention, which seems like certainty. She hasn't lost to anyone in Stardom since coming back. Her one loss since returning was to Mercedes at a New Japan show. She's yet, she's yet to lie down for anyone in Stardom. So I wouldn't rule that out. I don't think Kairi will be the one to take the belt off Tam.
No.
I feel like if I had to make a prediction now, I'm the evidence
Gun
is there.
to your head,
from our
you
last
gotta
podcast.
tell me now.
I don't know. It's really tough.
I'll read through what Velke says here. I'll let you marinate. I'll let you marinate on the yes.
Okay.
So Velke's telling everyone about the Sayori Tam situation. She wrote the forward in Tam's book. Tam left Actress Girls because she knew she could never surpass Sayori. Everything was about Sayori and Natsupoi there. Tam would have been a distant third or even fifth, which would be once again her fate as usual. Basically, Sayori is the reason why Tam joined Stardom and for Sayori to come into her promotion when she made it hers. Yes, as preeminent hater, I need to be up on my Tam road. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you're going to be educated, you need to know. But with all that, and I do think the Sayori match is very possible somewhere down the line. I think Sayori's an interesting name for the 5-star this year. Gun to your head. Who's next world champion?
Well, that's raising another. I don't think Soriano is like out of the question to be the next, because we talk about it being one of the top freelancers. That's a way to make a statement.
Yeah,
I'm leaning towards it being Giulia again, just straight away, just because I don't know. I feel like Giulia getting the belt back from Tam makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. They're tied at 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go to Game 7. Got to go to Game 7. If we don't go to Game 7, then what are we doing? And I continue to push this idea. Tam's career is closer to the end than the beginning, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be shocking if somewhere down the line that's where we go. Maybe once she loses this title is when she really starts to go down towards retirement more. But right now she's champion, so I'm not looking at retirement anytime soon for her either.
Yeah, so I'd lean towards Giulia. Like I said, Soriano could be there. Kairi could be there. Utami, maybe, although I don't think she's next. But I think she will 100% get that belt back.
Yeah.
That's just a matter of time.
I think if Giulia wins it next, Utami could be next after her.
Yeah, they're saving that match for a reason, right? It's like the biggest match that they could possibly make that they haven't.
Maybe it's the next All-Star show.
Definitely. If we're running this as an annual thing like Wrestle Kingdom, I couldn't think of many.
He said so.
Bigger
So
main
I'm
events for
listening
the
to
next
him.
one.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's pointing out Hazuki in the chat. Hazuki's been ready. I don't need to tell you how.
Yeah.
Like I mapped out like what the Wonder may look like moving forward the other day, and people were like, "Well, what about Hazuki?" I was like, "Listen, Hazuki would already be champion if I had any say." That made sense. Like she would have been champion. She would have beat Saya in that match if I had say. Hazuki obviously could beat Mina. I don't give you a good reason why she couldn't. I don't know. And I think after that match that Hazuki had at Secure Genesis, her stock has risen in the Stardom world, not with fans. Fans who love Hazuki forever. And I hope it happens. She's one of my favorites. I would prefer a Hazuki win over a Mirai win. I would probably have a Hazuki win over almost everyone, truthfully, at this point.
I'm probably with you there. I think, I'm in agreement that she should have probably beaten Saya, but we know what the plan was for a little while.
Had to finish the story,
of course. Yeah, but yeah, like she's more than ready. It's just a case of that roster being so stacked that there's so many different options. Someone's always going to miss out, right? We talked about it with the white belt. If it's like Natsupoi's missing out because she's going to be the first challenger, and she could very easily be the next white belt. So it's so tough. I'm not envious of Rossi when he has to make these tough calls.
No, I'm just happy we get to watch it.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, I'm going to be the selfish one that says, "Well, at least I get to witness it." So I'm excited for that next part of all this. Now, My last question for you before we go, because I've been talking for way too long and I don't want to talk as much anymore. Been a great show though, everyone. Thank you for joining. Moving forward, looking at that Fukuoka show, does that excite you as kind of the next pay-per-view? I think it excites me. I mean, you get 3 great title matches, 2 really cool undercard tags that kind of may build towards the future. Maybe Tam and Starlight Kid's next. Maybe
Could be. I wouldn't be mad at it.
No, I wouldn't either. It's the build to Flashing Champions. So, are you excited for Fukuoka? Are you excited for? Obviously, you're excited for the future. So we'll look at Fukuoka, and I need Suzu Suzuki to walk in the door as soon as I need her to walk in the door as soon as possible. I need her. I need her to join DDM, and I need Giulia and Suzu to rain terror on people. Because that is
DDM.
I think that's where she's going. I do.
As a stylistic fit, I can't think of anything better. It's just like, how do we that rivalry with Giulia is probably second only to the one with Tam, and that's like the top in the whole company. So I'd be interested to see how they tell that story. But in terms of if she's joining full time, I can't think of many other fits. I mean, she doesn't really fit any other faction. God's Eye would be the only one that you could try and do, but even then, I think she fits stylistically in DDM. So yeah, that'd be great. In terms of the Fukuoka show, I'm really looking forward to it. I think Mina, I'm just excited to see where this title reign's going, and after that last showing against Saya,
maybe I'll have you review that show with me. Maybe that's Natsupoi big title match. Come on.
Yeah. And I think we could get some title changes. I don't think the white belt will be changing, but lower down the card.
High speed, yeah.
Oh, high speed is like
yeah.
When obviously I'm a huge Saki Kashima fan. I was rooting for her to take that belt, but once this tag team match got announced, I was like, okay, May Sarah's winning, and then May Sarah's taking the belt, and I think that's now what we're seeing play out in front of us. I also wouldn't rule out the tag titles changing. I know they only just changed.
No, I'm with you there. I think
but we're in Fukuoka. It's Fukuoka double crazy, and maybe if we are getting rid of the majority of the outsiders on that last show, maybe we just needed those to drop those titles there, and then we'll move on to the next. Mirai seems like she's got bigger plans of her own, right?
Yeah, and Flashing.
He's a double champion right now.
Flashing Champions last year had every title defended, so I think that's worth remembering too. That was kind of like their big show with every title. So, assuming Mirai challenges there for whatever title she picks, maybe they're going to want a tag title match on there, and FWC going again. I would never say no. They had an incredible run. That would be their 3rd tag title reign. Could they get it? I don't see why not. It's in Fukuoka, or they get Jungle Kiona. That's also very possible. That has never been something Rossi's been afraid of. But Jamie, thank you so much for joining me, sharing your thoughts. I'll let you go now. I'll wrap up the show, I guess, all by myself. But thank you so much for joining me, man. Go follow Jamie at Jamie Ross WP. Of course, the head writer for Wrestle Purists. You can see all the stuff there. Any other plugs? Before I tried to plug for you. I don't know why I did.
We'll be live on the Wrestle Purists YouTube channel tomorrow for Dumb Guy Live, 7:30 Eastern time. I'll be giving a way more in-depth review of this show with Parker and Murph. Murph, not someone who watches a ton of Stardom as it is at the moment, but he's watching this show for this, and I know Parker's really fired up as well. So that should be a good show. And that's pretty much it. I'm working on a Himeka feature for WrestlePurist.com. Kind of career retrospective reviewing the pre-Stardom days and last couple of years here. And so that should be coming relatively soon. And that's pretty much it for me. Thank you for having me on.
Of course.
In the main event spot.
Hey, the main event spot. It's a prominent spot here on the show. But I'm happy to have you. Thank you for taking the time to jump in, talk a little bit about the show. Everyone, check out Dumb Guy Live tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the Wrestle Purists YouTube channel. So I'll let you go, and I'm gonna wrap this up. So see you, Jamie.
Peace.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you've stuck around for 2 hours and 30 minutes, I really do appreciate you. It means the world to me that everyone has been here listening. It truly does. And hopefully, if some people didn't check it on and checking it out on video on demand, thank you for listening. This was absolute blast. It was the biggest Stardom show ever. It does create an exciting future for Stardom. I can't wait for what's next. I got a written review coming out. If you for some reason need to hear more of my thoughts, that will be out on Veterans of Wrestling tomorrow, because I got to go finish writing it. And I got a feature about Mercedes Moné coming out very soon too, because it's time to shut up people that doubted her, like I didn't. I always believed in her. So thank you everyone again for listening. Thank you to the chat. You guys kept it fun from start to finish. I really gotta keep this going because I love doing these live shows. I think Kyle said it best. Wrestling does fucking rule. Wrestle Haas, first time here. Great listen. Thank you so much for joining me, Brad. Thank you for calling a great show. Of course, Jeff, you're welcome. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, this was the 5-Star Joshi Show here in the Fight Game Media Network. I'll be back next week to talk everything. It's Golden Week coming up, so I'll be previewing, talking about all that. Actually, no, next week I'll be reviewing. I'll be reviewing Fukuoka. Maybe I'll do a little special show on the Patreon to preview those. Oh, I am. Oh shit, you're right. I am retiring. Actually, there's gonna be an announcement. There's gonna be an announcement on Twitter in a few minutes, so you'll know my retirement. But good point. It's a great retirement. Keiji Muto retirement road. It is wrestling. Nobody ever retires. You'll know what I'm doing. But it was a hell of a run. Thank you everyone for listening. So long. Farewell. Goodbye.